That is what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts, and welcome all to a very special episode of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. Welcome to day 2 of ArvCon. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this event as we continue to move forward with Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, and we continue to raise money for the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. I want to thank everybody who made this such an awesome experience yesterday, by the way, who watched online. I know that the live stream was a little erratic. That obviously is not something I have control over. But I want to thank Mike Underwood for restreaming that. And I want to thank everyone who watched and was a part of that experience online and off, and especially everybody who had a chance to donate and spread the word. We raised, coming into tonight, we have $1,110. So we have raised some money. I also want to thank, I know that Emily has been tweeting and retweeting and spreading the word on social media and the like about the event quite a bit. And I'm very grateful about that. I'm also super grateful to everyone who did this and has been such a big part of this. Triffid has been doing huge amounts of work in the mod channel. Dragonspear, Shadowed Mage. I already talked about Emily as well in the mod stuff. Prince Justin, just so many people that have contributed so much, and I'm really grateful to everyone who's been able to do that. I also want to mention, of course, that we are, our goal that we're looking for here is $7,100, and we are trying to get up to that amount. This is normally the day that we would, quote, start ArvCon, and we've got a big series of events planned. Tomorrow we have got starting out with our scientist interview. I'm going to be interviewing the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation scientists. Then we'll have the D&D with GOG Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which will be continuing. Shire Adventures, Expert Treasure Hunters will be continuing as well. Then we're going to have a concert featuring performances from Kilgore Trout and from one Mr. Zach Clay. And, of course, Indy is going to be back playing for us. That's going to happen again. And so I'm very excited about the concert. And then we have the climactic conclusion, the epic conclusion of Community D&D Dragon of Icespire Peak. It's not necessarily the epic conclusion of Community D&D overall, because there may, in fact, be stuff that will happen, down the line, perhaps. There will be other sessions and campaigns. Who knows what the future holds. But at least Dragon of Icespire Peak should be coming to a climactic end Saturday night, so that's going to be really awesome. Sunday is the Marathon Eberron Oracle of War session as we continue with Season 3 of that campaign. We'll be on from noon to 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, which is going to be pretty amazing. Then on Monday, we are going to have Brandon O'Brien with, I believe, Valerie Valdez and maybe one or two others. I have to double check and confirm all of those details, but that'll be happening Monday during the day from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. And then from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, we will have Mike Underwood doing the, once again, running the game for the same Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation scientists, which is going to be super great. And then we'll see where we're at the end of that business. So a lot of exciting stuff happening. And again, I could not be more grateful to everyone who's contributing and is a part of this. I'm not going to talk really much at all about the channel as a whole, other than to say that you folks know how to support it. Please do so. Please make sure that you follow the channel and do all those those things and support in the ways that you can. I saw that Brahms resubbed before, so thank you so much for that. Thank you to everyone who was subbed and resubbed. I'm really grateful for all of those things, supporting the Patreon and the like. But the big focus this weekend is the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. Now, if you want to know more about that, all you have to do is go !donate, !donate, DONATE, and that will allow you to go over to our Tiltify page. And that Tiltify page is doing great work as usual. And in fact, I have an alert widget that Tiltify provides, but I can't test it until I get an actual donation. So I'm hoping it works. It should work. It's supposed to work. But if for some reason it doesn't, we have our backup of !donated and then the amount, and I can continue to add that into the mix. But Tiltify, of course, is paired up with Damon Runyon, and so I'm very excited about that because it makes it a lot easier for us to handle. And you can contribute from any place, whether you are in Europe, whether you are in Australia or in Africa or in any place around the world, or whether you're in the United States or North America, you can contribute and be a part of this. So either way, it's really important it's really great to be able to do that. I understand also that times are difficult for a lot of people, and so this is whatever people are capable of doing, and I understand that's not always easy. So, aha! So there we go. That donation worked. Thank you, Prince Justin. Now, the notification didn't work, but that's okay. I know why that didn't work. I will fix that. That is exactly why I wanted that to be the case. That's not what I wanted. I wanted monitor only mute output. Now it will work going forward, but we saw the number and we're now up to 1,115. Thank you, Prince Justin, so much. I really do appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you. And yeah, I saw the text on the screen too, so I know that that's working. I just wanted to make sure I had the sound right, but now I have the sound fixed. So now it will actually come up. I couldn't test it before. Thank you, Prince Justin, so much for that. So yeah, there's a tiny thing in the top corner, but also the donation thing as well that I've got too. Oh, and I didn't put this on here. Let me just fix that. I also had the Twitch chat down here that I had to do as well. So let me just put that up there. Okay, good. So yeah, so now we can see all of those things. No. Look, Prince Justin, you have already, not only do you give just by your presence, but there's also the fact that you also have given us the second top donator prize. You heard a sound, ta-da. That was the sound, actually. I guess I just didn't hear it. So that's good. I'm glad that you folks heard it then. Yes, that is the sound. But no, Prince Justin, you give a lot already. So anyway, but today we've got Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. And so without any further ado, I want us to get rolling. I'm going to unmute myself and apologize to anyone that I may have inadvertently interrupted because I couldn't hear them. And then I'm going to go over them and unmute them. And last, I'm going to bring you over to reveal the not quite full, but still present crew. And so I am happy to have the folks here tonight for this amazing event and for this session. And I will start, as per usual, at the top left here of this group. And that is, of course, one Mr. Johnny Pittman. So, Johnny, welcome. It's good to see you. How is everything with you, Johnny? How's life in the universe with you? And who are you playing today? I'll talk about that in a minute, Echo. Who are you playing today, Johnny?
So I'm just going to say that you've missed out on some really fantastic conversation in what has been referred to as the green room, because we've been talking about the glory that is Tina Turner, rest her soul.
Yeah.
Just the iconic nature of her, how great the 80s music were. And we literally were just talking about something, and I just discovered that Toya was gracious enough to introduce me to something called bedroom pop. And boy, I have a genre I'm going to get dropping all down into. So we will see what that's all about. I'm good otherwise. Virginia is hot, but not super hot. Slow and steady plans are being made to head back to California, which is great, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen before the summer. And tonight I will be playing a engineer by the name of Titus Littlefoot.
I heard the ta-da that time. Thank you, Brahms, for the donation. $20 to the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. Lovely. My apologies for interrupting, Johnny, but that's always a good thing. That's one good reason.
No. Brahms is good.
Thank you, Brahms, very, very much. And so Titus, and we've also been talking about upgrades to the puppet system will to the puppet broadcasting system, as it were. We will
The
talk more
puppet
about
broadcasting system.
that. PBS. I mean,
V2 and
it's all-
V3 are in the
Uh-huh.
works. We did talk about that, yes.
so we will talk more as time goes on. But yeah, that I'm wondering if that widget is not going to work for this other thing. Yes. Also, I should mention that we do have giveaways periodically, and in $65 we will have another giveaway. So keep that in mind, chat, as we are continuing to move forward. And thank you, Bram, so much for that donation. Johnny, awesome. I'm very excited to see what Titus gets up to, and I'm sure that now that you have risen to the dizzying height of level 3, that that everything will
Level
be
4, right?
No. Now that you are at the dizzying height of level 3, that everything will work perfectly.
Do I hear level 5?
Uh, that would be level 3 is what we're talking about. But it is always a pleasure to have Johnny with us. Thank you, Johnny. And moving right on over, we have the incomparable and amazing Toya Kristen Finley, who is amazing and cool. And Toya, it is good to see you, and I hope all is well with you, and of course, most importantly, with your dog. I hope that's the critical factor here, is that the dog is okay. But I hope everything is okay with you. How are you doing today, and who are you playing this evening?
Yes, I am okay. Dog is great. I am so happy that Nalik is now level 6. I mean, she's just slaying it.
This is 6 divided by 2 to make 3. That's the factor. That's what we're talking about.
And if you have not watched Beyond Thunderdome recently, like me, but you have listened to Beyond Thunderdome, the iconic anthem by one Miss Tina Turner, listen to it again. The whole conversation got started actually because I was introducing somebody who had never heard that song. So I had just heard it last week, and then
another hero. Oh yeah, it's great stuff. And she's great. And she's great in that movie anyway. Like, what do you think, Raggedy Man? Oh, I mean, Tina Turner is great in that movie.
And it's her only acting performance, which is so crazy. We were just talking about that too.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But anyway, yes, I'm going to be playing Nalik, who is Nals Darkly tonight, and looking to get up into stuff. What is the weather like here? It's like 79 degrees, which for some people that's nice weather. I don't like weather that's over 75. It's too hot for me, but there you go.
Always a pleasure to have Toya with us. Incidentally, I should mention, chat, that we have art of the characters coming your way very soon now. And just as we put together art for merchandise that I sent off to the Eberron players, as soon as the art is finished for Expedition, I will be sending that off to the Expedition players as well. So that's going to be really awesome. A group shot, and then the whole bit. It's going to be really cool. So that is Toya. Always a pleasure, Toya. And then last joining us tonight is the amazing and awesome Zach Clay, who is coming to you from an undisclosed location. I'm sure it's not, in anywhere related to my house. It's just, an undisclosed location. So, that's all. So I know that he can't disclose it, but, if you were to disclose it, Zach, would it have resonances with, I don't know, like homes that might have been former sea captains' homes, or something like that? Could that be part of this mix? I'm just wondering. Also, and hi, and how are you, and who are you playing?
Well, here's what I'll say to our lovely chat. If you stick around and you watch till the very end, you'll be in touch for a special surprise, a special guest appearance at the end of the Mysterious Peak stream, as you'll see someone in the background of Greg's camera joining him in the office of the Ghost Sea Captain. And it may or may not be a person that rhymes with Mac Day.
Coming to join. That guy, yeah. Mac Day.
Yeah, Mac Day.
Oh,
yep.
Man.
Anyway, that all to say, yes, let's not beat around the bush. I am currently in Connecticut with Arv in his place, and we're in separate rooms so that we don't have any audio issues or echo issues or camera issues. But aside from that, I'm doing great. We had a great live performance. Oh my gosh, Johnny, Toya, you guys missed an amazing performance, an amazing time. We played D&D on stage at the Klein Theater. It was amazing. And I definitely would love to do that again. And we have the whole rest of our ArvCon ahead of us. And this is the virtual kickoff night. So I'm excited. And aside from that, I am playing Dr. Jaraxxus, who is a Dendis cybermancer, influencer, celebrity, and shaker of worlds. That's me.
And level 10.
And level 10.
And level 10, where 10 is
which is
defined as
even
3.
divisible by 3 now.
Yeah, I know, right. You're just thinking of ways to get around it. There must be some mathematical system where 10 actually works out to 3. I think that's the way this actually works. Well, it is a pleasure to have the players here, and we are going on to hopefully some amazing things with Expedition. So, with all that said, last reminder to the chat: as we're going through the recap and everything else, we're going to be running tonight for until 11 o'clock. So as we're going through that, please, during these moments, make sure that you, as you can, get your donations in. You've had a couple of people who've done that already. And again, you can do that with !donate. You can also find out more about the charity with !Damon. I believe also DRCR, !DRCRF will also do the same thing. And let's continue to bring these numbers forward. We come into the day with 1110. Can Expedition end up taking the lead in terms of most money raised during the course of this event? We will find out if they can defeat the live portion. So that'll be good. And thank you, Prince Justin. See, this is one of the many values you add to the channel, is the fact that 10 in base 3 would be 3. So in base 3, it's level 3.
What kind of nerd are you that you don't know that at base 3 you'd get 10-3? What kind of nerd are you?
I'm the kind of nerd that likes to hear other smarter math people tell me things that I would not already know. That's me. I'm a humanities person, you know what I'm saying?
So you're not an actually type?
I'm not. No. I'm just like, I'm sort of like, the only actually part would be like, actually, Prince Justin knows math, and he says that actually, I teach books though. Anyway. So it is a pleasure to have everyone here, and let's get fired up and start talking about what happened in our last session. Let me turn on a bit of music here. This may sound familiar to those of you who were there yesterday. Oh, wait, no. I did not use that music. Nope. I used Ancient Artifact. I forgot about that. I was digging some Ancient Artifact music. There we go. Okay. Welcome, chat, to the Badlands, and I will show you exactly where that is. The incredible and amazing crew there we go, there's my dice back. The incredible and amazing crew, which is a combination of players from Camria, I should say characters, from Camria and characters from the Sunrider, have landed on the surface here of the planet and have been brought together for various reasons, depending on where they're coming from. In the case of Titus and of Dr. Jaraxxus, they have come here because there was a mysterious signal that was basically signaling into the galaxy from this particular area, and the ship they used to get down to the planet, Sunrider, ended up crash landing on the planet, and may have something to do with the implications of why this distress beacon was coming out from this spot in the first place. And so they want to track down this distress beacon. It would also be nice if they could figure out how to fix their ship, but also to find out more about what is happening on this planet, which clearly is more than what meets the eye, because as the people from Camria, like Fob and of course like Nals Darkly would tell you, there is something strange afoot on Camria. The Primarch has apparently lost his will or his mind, or has at least changed radically in his approach to governance, and along with a group of cultists has decided to begin imposing a kind of martial law upon the people of Camria. And accompanied by Elu Whisperwind, whose brother was killed, apparently on the orders of the Primarch, the party, Fob and, well, 4 of them, but in particular Fob and Nals, who are here now, escaped Camria and landed here on the planet's surface so that they could try to figure out what they were going to do and figure out a way that they can battle back against the Primarch. Coming together, they made the decision to go with Elu Whisperwind, who wants to head south to find her parents in Celis, who may then be able to help her, provide some kind of support, physical, military, other kinds of support, and figure out ways that they can counteract the threat posed by the Primarch. In the meantime, it might also help both Titus and Dr. Duraxis find out where the heck this distress beacon is coming from and how other concerns can be addressed, like getting sources of sorium to power their devices and things like that. And so the party made the decision collectively to head down to Celis with Elu. They had 3 paths to do so because Celis is on the other side of the Badlands. They could have gone to the direct westernmost approach, which is I guess, violet line, or I guess pinkish purple line, I guess I would say, that you see over there to the west. The problem with that is that if they head over to that side, heading directly to the west, they were going to run into some possible issues relating to several concerns, but specifically relating to some things that may have been discovered in things that are basically moving that shouldn't be. A place of knowledge now filled with deadly plants, man-eating and poisonous plants that lure trespassers to their doom. The party wasn't wild about that idea, so the other idea was to go directly down the cleft that you see there through the Badlands. That would have been fine, except it's a rocky chasm hundreds of feet wide and just as deep, and going down that center would have eventually brought them through, let me just move my map here, would have brought them down eventually to something known as the spine fields, these vertical formations of razor-sharp metal. The members of the Sunrider had already encountered some spines of razor-sharp metal when the Sunrider crash landed in the first place. So you put all that together, and that seemed like maybe a place that they didn't want to have to necessarily encounter otherwise. Plus, there's the bandit encampment that's nearby. It just was not a cool scene. So instead, what they decided to do was to go and take the far eastern route. It's not perfect either. There is Fingerbone Spire to concern themselves with. But they figured, hey, at least that's a little bit safer than other options they could have taken. Once they get to the eastern side of the cleft, they can then head directly south, which should be as uneventful as anything the Badlands ever gets, finally hugging the mountains as they move back around to the west to arrive at Wormwood and from there to Celis. The only problem about that route is they do have to cross over the cleft to do it, and that means they have to go to First Span, which is where they are standing outside of now. But they are not alone, because standing next to this village as they're looking across at First Span, they see they see not only themselves and not only some soldiers that are kind of at the front of it, but they are accompanied by, I don't want to say if it's an unwelcome visitor, by a visitor, I guess I would say that the party is trying to gather some information and perhaps support from. We're speaking, of course, about an armored dire wolf whose name is Gmork. This creature, this fell creature, was accompanied by several of its packmates, and the party managed to defeat those packmates and could have defeated Gmork. But thanks to the intervention and the communication of Knowles with this dire wolf, the party was able to convince it to not continue to fight to the death, and to convince it to accompany them, so to speak, at least for a little while they gather more information from it. I would not say that Gmork is pleased with this arrangement, but it is better apparently to Gmork than the alternative, and it appears that Knowles and the rest of the party has at least gained Gmork's grudging respect, if not its love, admiration, or adoration. And so, as we begin our session today, the party is standing outside the village, where several guards have just spoken to them outside the bridge. I believe, although correct me if I'm wrong, party, that Gmork was, I think, hanging back, if I'm not mistaken, sort of like outside of town, kind of looking. I know that several of you also had talked about wanting to speak to Gmork, but I don't think we had actually arranged that as of yet. So does any of that sound familiar? I believe that's what we said, but...
Yes, basically, Knowles wants Elu to talk to Gmork because Elu is... Although Elu is like, okay, I will allow this for now, I'm really, really, really against this. And what Nals wants Elu to understand is that both she and Gamork have been wronged by the same party. And so Nals said to Elu, you should go talk to him and I'll translate. And Elu's like, fine. So that's where that was.
Okay. Okay. So, right. So you were walking over. So to talk, basically to them, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's start there. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix one thing on this overlay because I realized everyone who donates is starting to cover up my picture. And whilst you don't need to probably see my camera, it might be nice if you're like speaking to you as the game
donators
master.
only.
Game master donators is what they all are. Just give me 1 second. Please hold. All right. This copy overlay. Save changes. Copy overlay. Reload. Okay. Now, if I put all that in, okay, and then I should be able to refresh cache of current page. Aha, yes, it works. Huzzah! Lovely. Okay, perfect. Now I'm not blocked anymore. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So as you walk over, so you're walking. So I guess you're walking back up basically to where Gamork is concealed, so to speak. And I should say not like it's just sort of around the bend of the path, so it's not particularly well concealed. You know, if the guards followed you up, they'd sort of cross the path and there would be Gamork. So keep that in mind, I guess, Nals, as you're going through. So when you get back up there, you see our dear friend Gamork, who is just kind of is sitting down and is now just sort of facing with his great head and his red eyes darkened. Remember that for those of you who were not here for the last session, Gamork actually apparently was partially blinded in some ways because of the shutting down of this mechanical whatever it was that was grafted to Gamork by whoever he refers to as kind of this incredibly powerful beast or being. He's just kind of swinging his head back and forth.
Assuming that we have Nalik kind of going over towards Gamork, Dr. Jaraxis will follow, and he has our dentist friend has his recording unit rig, this sort of like both virtual and physical rig on his shoulder, and a bit of a handheld recording unit tool, sim tool, and he says to Nalik, so any progress with this beast? Oh, I just remembered too that Titus and I were discussing trying to pull open the plating on its chest or its belly to try to get that explosive out. Can you ask it about that?
Well, we gotta get its trust first. And I wanted to ask you about something that I think Glork and some humans have in common. You faced humans in some kind of mechanized armor?
You mean us? Well, we did. You're right. You're right. We did. Didn't we, Titus? Titus?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Those
Hello.
big golems and the wizard that was being chased by them. DM, did those golems look like a similar kind of metal or a similar kind of grafting?
Before I answer that, let me just say thank you for the raid from GOGCOM. We got 97 raiders who just popped in. That is lovely to
Awesome.
hear. Thank you,
Welcome,
GOGCOM. And
welcome.
it might have been
Hello.
Kilgore. It might have been Kilgore who was streaming, I think, in which case, thank you, Kilgore, for doing this raid. But thank you, everybody from GOGCOM. Welcome to day 2 of ArvCon. We have raised $1,135, and we are our goal is $7,100 by the end of the weekend. This is the beginning of our virtual ArvCon. If you are interested in knowing more about the charity, please type in !Damon. If you want to know how you can donate yourself, please type in !Donate. And welcome to the amazing expedition from the Mysterious Peaks crew. And the mods are here to answer questions as well. If you have them, we're only $65 away from another giveaway. Thank you so much, Kilgore. Also, everyone will see Kilgore, or rather hear Kilgore, tomorrow night, because Kilgore is going to be our opening act of our concert, which one Mr. Zach Clay is also participating in. So thank you so much, Kilgore, and the amazing crew from GOGCOM. Now, back to the question you asked. Yes, you think the metal is actually quite similar. I do want to say that the creatures that you saw, remember, were probably less golems than some kind of elaborate cyborg, probably, because they were humans of some kind that had been grafted into, somehow, affixed into this power armor, basically, that they were wearing. So it is important to note that they were not really constructs, except in the sense that it may have been that they were controlled by whatever the mechanical armor was, but the point was there was some organic component of it rather than just sort of more metallic. That said, yes, the metal components of them do seem like the metal of this, yes.
No. Yes, they are very similar, Malik.
Gamork speaks of the other one and seems to think that the other one is going to give all creatures powers over humanity. But if the other one is also manipulating humanity, then maybe Gamork will trust us a little bit more in that the other one isn't all he's cracked up to be.
Did Gamark actually give a name to this entity? We never got one from those constructs.
No, he just calls it the other one.
Well, is Elu going to speak to it?
I'm going to get her to try.
And Elu is kind of like just sort of her arms folded, kind of looking, kind of just glaring at this beast.
Elu, I think you and the direwolf have the same enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, if you know what I mean.
And she kind of like sort of folds her arm, with her arms folded, is just kind of staring down and says, "That's assuming that this beast knows what it means to be an enemy. But you already had this discussion. You've convinced me to at least try to speak to this thing as much as I can. What do you want me to say to it?"
You just be honest with it. Tell it what happened to you, what happened to your brother, and you believe that the same thing is happening to its clan.
So Elu kind of sighs and begins to do exactly that. Basically kind of relates the story with you translating. And after, takes a few minutes to kind of go through it, the Gamork doesn't do anything except just kind of has its head tilted as if, listening. And then when that is finished, sort of... So, the two-legged ones attack themselves as much as any. It is good to know they spend their time ravaging themselves, and not just the land and the creatures within it. So, they have been attacked by this creature. That was an extremely interesting moment to have the ta-da sound go up on, but that was $100 from, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that it was Classicor that just came up there. So we're up to $12.35. Thank you very, very much, Classicor.
Amazing.
I think that was indeed you. Thank you so much, Classicor. I appreciate that. So on we go, giveaway time, and on we go. Really appreciate that, Classicor. Thank you so much. Okay. So, it was. To be clear, it was not Gamork going, ta-da! It was not what happened. So Gamork sort of says, so you think we have a common enemy? Even if I believed you and believe this one who speaks, and sort of nods kind of at you, Nulls. Even if I believe it, what can an alpha do without a pack? What can I do myself? And kind of waits to hear your answer as Hilnus contributes $12.84. I see what is happening here. Classicor and Hilnus got into a battle last year with Chaos versus everything else. So we're now up to $1,247.34. I see what you're doing, and I approve of the attempts to get people fired up and going, especially since Tiltify does the math for me, so that makes it easy. Okay, 1247.34. Okay, so he waits, though, to be heard.
Well, I know us two-leggeds are a poor substitute for a pack, but can you find purpose in revenge? It seems that those two gentlemen, and I'm pointing at Draxus and Titus, those two gentlemen who come from beyond the stars, they had a little scuffle with some humans who were wearing armor much like yours. So it seems like the other one is manipulating a lot of creatures on our planet.
And this one with the sword thinks that the other one is this Primarch that you refer to.
Yes, we all have a common enemy here.
If what you say is true, you will be like cubs. You cannot defeat this one. Its power is greater than the mountains. It is the strongest of all. If all the wolves could be assembled from the four corners of our world, they would be smashed under its foot. Its claw is sharp. Its reach is long.
Now you know better than anybody here that every creature has a weakness, and we will find the Primarchs.
What is this about? Sorry. And Jaraxxus will lower his recording unit. What is this about the Primarch? From what I understood, the wolf was saying that there is some entity that we don't understand that is grafting them. Since when do we think that that is the leader of Camria?
Well, the Primarch killed Elu's brother.
Yes.
So that's the best lead we have.
Okay, so now every person who kills another person is now grafting metal armor onto a wolf? I don't see how those could be the same person.
Well, you want the wolf working with us or not?
Okay, all right. I put the recording unit back up.
So Elu kind of, as I guess the question is, Nulls, how much do you translate of what you just said back to?
None of that.
None of that. Okay, gotcha. Right, the whole revenge. Okay, good. So does all of that, and then you do not translate that back. And Elu, of course,
just the little conversation I had with Jaraxxus. That side conversation I didn't translate.
Okay, I gotcha. And so Elu sort of hears most of the growling and waits for you to translate just what the wolf said, and then says sort of quietly to you, "Do you really think that appealing to this beast's sense of revenge is going to work? What happens when it decides it wants revenge on you for bringing it to heel?"
I will not bring it to heel. He decides whether he's going to heal or not, and if he turns on us, we'll be ready for him. We'll watch and wait.
and he kind of, sort of processes this and thinks about it. Oh my goodness, we just got a couple of big donations from Chaotix and from, I believe, from Echo Alpha. Putting those all together, we are now up to $1,312. Thank you so
Wow.
much. Let us keep it up. I love it. Thank you to both Echo Alpha and to Chaotix so much for for those donations. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Let's keep it going. You added in a message, yo. Oh, you did? Can you Discord it to me, Echo? Because I don't think I got that. Would you mind Discording it to me? That would be lovely if you could. Okay. So, anyway. So, where was I? Elu, right. So, you said the thing to Elu. Okay. And Elu kind of, she nods slowly and she says, all right. Fine. How exactly are we going to get it across this bridge and through the town then?
Jiraxis kind of looks at Titus and looks at Nalik and says, getting it to share our company is one thing, but with bringing it around other people and having to explain this to other people, especially given that we will be visitors on their land, I don't know.
Well, there's also the issue of that explosive in his chest.
Right. Do you think we have its trust? Because I'm kind of inclined to try to get that bomb out, even if we don't.
I can ask him.
Please.
Gamork, you know you have an explosive in your chest.
I have the heart that beats within me. That is more powerful than any explosive.
Do you want answers?
What would you do to me?
Remove the explosive, like the ones that blew up your comrades. Your heart shall remain powerful as ever.
The way in which we were made stronger. The other one told us that it could not be undone without triggering whatever it was that would happen. Were you to remove it or try, I wonder whether it would explode anyway, and thus kill me. And, unfortunately, you.
So Nalik explains all of that to the rest of the party.
While Nalik is doing that, I will quickly say that the message from Echo was for Dialad, for Benoit Sokol, which I don't think I'm pronouncing right, for Val Kilmer, for my cancer survivor aunt, screw cancer, fight cancer. And I am 100% in agreement with all of that. Thank you, Echo. Okay.
Jiraxis will look at Titus after Nalik tells us this.
Titus kind of looks between Jiraxis and Nalik, then takes a really long look at the dire wolf and just kind of twists his head back and forth. We can't do this here. This, even if we had an understanding, we might kill him just by bacteria or some other infection, or this isn't the proper place to do this kind of a procedure. Separately, we're not going to earn his trust by just telling him that we're going to, help him or remove it. We need to do more, but we don't have the time and the space to do it. My suggestion would be that we split up and try to find another way to get him across and begin the process of healing his wounds and getting an understanding of his condition. I realize this is not a good assessment, but I've had enough medical training to know that we don't understand what we're doing here at all.
I think that is a good plan, but I am admittedly a little bit concerned about leaving any of us alone with a direwolf. Or maybe not alone, but with lesser numbers than we have now.
Well, there's no way we can take him into this town and endanger everyone. What I would suggest is have him meet us on the other side. I'm sure he knows how to get there. And if he's actually there, well, then maybe he's actually an ally. If we don't find him, he's on his own path.
This sounds agreeable to me, and I can get a very appealing long shot of him walking away.
Trust is earned by familiarity and routine. I don't know that leaving him alone means he'll actually show up if we want him to stay. But also, I don't know if he seems accepting the idea that he's going to die or he's going to just give up because he doesn't have a pack anymore. We need to give him that sense of pack, even if it means following him being his pack, him being even for a short period of time.
Okay. So you would have him lead us?
I would have him lead me, and I'll meet you guys on the other side.
Titus, that is a death sentence.
Do you speak direwolf?
How? No, but there are other ways to earn trust besides communication.
I'm just assuming the worst case scenario here. Let's say best case scenario. We meet you on the other side, you're riding on top of him, best buddies. I record it all, it goes big, and now everyone's talking about the Zek that rides the direwolf. Worst case scenario, the moment we leave you alone, Gamork tears you to shreds. I find one of those much more likely than the other, and I wonder which one you think it is.
I am not unconcerned about the situation as well, but I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve, and I can also make sure to get some studies in before pulling any of those tricks. And you see the Zek activate this little button on his rig, and this rig is basically this just it's like a combination of a vest and a belt sort of put together, and it slowly starts to hum a little bit. And he says, "It'll cost me, but I might be able to shut him down temporarily, long enough to climb up a tree and get away."
Well, I've seen you fight, so I know you can handle yourself.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'm aiming for no fighting here, but it would help if you could explain it to him.
What would you like for me to say so that he'll trust you when we leave you alone with him?
Where we need him to go, we'll ask him to lead me, with the idea of me just making sure he's safe and following him as a part of his pack.
I'm not sure safety is a great concern of his. He'll probably just laugh and say, he should be worried about his safety.
I have no pride in this situation. I'm just trying to get us the best possible outcome. I know I'm missing out on other aspects by not going into the town, but he may be the way for me to discover what Jaraxxus and I need, which is to combine our tools with the power source that runs his mechanics, his mechanized abilities. And maybe I can discover how to disarm this bomb.
Okay, so Nalik goes ahead and explains all of that to Gamork.
And again, Gamork does this thing where he just sort of like head tilted and listens, and then when you're done, so you want to send this creature with me? How will you keep up, small one? I remember what you looked like before my sight was taken from me. And I can still smell your aura, small as it is.
Okay, that gets translated to Titus.
Yeah, because Titus is like, that's what he basically hears. Like, I do have to hydrate doing this direwolf voice. It is sometimes a bit satisfying, though, I will admit, Prince Justin. This particular group of players knows why it might be particularly satisfying at the moment, but anyway.
Titus is going to think about it for a second and then say, well, I have two things to say about that, but the first is I may be slow, but a pack sticks together. And the second is, if he's worried about my speed, he can always allow me to ride on his back, but I'm not asking for that. I can keep up as best as I can.
Okay, and this also gets translated to Gamork.
And so when you say the thing about riding on his back, Gamork is like, I am not a beast of burden. I am not a riding animal. If you go upon my back, even if I allowed it, in my movement you might be jarred loose, and I would not lift a paw to save you if you fell.
To be clear, Titus, he is not a fan of you riding on his back.
As much as I joke about it, it's not my first choice either, but I'm also not a burden. I know how to carry myself and stay on a bucking vehicle, Bronco, whatever.
So, Titus, I've got a question.
Shoot.
What great feat of combat can you tell Gamork?
My great feat of combat is not one of attack, but it is of defense. I have never left anyone on a battlefield. My comrades always make it out alive, and that's because of me. They tell tales of it in my family.
Admirable. Here, Titus, I think, given where we are both from, we should still have these, yes? And Jaraxxus will pull forward one of his two-way communicators, which is an item. I think that you have one too, Titus. And Jaraxxus will kind of hold it up to his mouth and test it out and say, You can hear me through this, yes, and I can hear you.
I don't know. Can you hear me? Maybe we're standing a little
Yes.
too close. Let me
Up,
back
all
off.
right, let me back up. Okay,
And
hold on.
and Gamork, as they're doing this, Gamork says to you, Knowles, "What are they doing? Speaking into these? I sense it. Some buzzing sound. Are they using machines to talk when they stand next to each other?"
You know, I've never quite seen anything like this before. As I said, they're from beyond the stars, so they have tech, maybe magitech, where they can speak into these things and their voice comes out the other end. It's a way for them to constantly communicate with themselves, even if they're not next to each other.
The need for the two-legged ones to talk is so great that they must make machines so they can always be heard. Do you think, one who speaks, that these ones from space can be trusted? You are not from their clan. You are not in their pack. Why do you trust?
We have already battled together, and the Primarch, the other one, attacked them as well. But here's what's interesting to me. The little one, the one you scrapped with, he seems to be not so unlike you. There are tales in his clan that he tells me of how he never leaves anyone on the battlefield. He is small but mighty.
The smallest ones always talk the most. The young cubs yip the loudest. But if he would ride upon me, then place him on my back. We will see whether he is ready.
Well, I'll certainly ask him,
And he kind
but
of
I could.
stands up. Sorry, just as you're doing that, he like stands up, so he's like on all fours now.
Uh, he's asking for you to get up on his back. I believe he would like to test you. He seems to think that you're some young cub, but I don't think that's true. I get an old soulishness about you.
Well, you can tell him that I'm over 200 years old and I've got many generations of. I don't know what the standard local thing is, but descendants is the best way I can describe it. I've had my time as a family man, and now I've had my time on the battlefield many years. So you're welcome to tell him that. As for writing him, only if he chooses it. I will do this. It's his choice, right?
So he says. But I can relay that to him again. And Knowles explains all of that.
Okay. And Gamork says, "All that I do by choice, except when I am tamed by someone more powerful. And then I wait until the time is right to reclaim my power. For now I choose to have him on my back, if he can stay there."
Well, he says, if you can actually stay on his back, he chooses for you to be there.
And Elu at this point kind of rolls her eyes and just sort of shakes her head and says, "You better go ahead and do it, Titus. We're wasting time."
I have a question. please describe to us Gamorre's armor placement.
So the armor placement is basically a flat surface and then angular down along the curve of the top of the back. If you can imagine, a wolf with a back that kind of curves like this, the armor seems to be tracing it, but instead of curving, it's flat metal, flat metal, flat metal, and then so it's like straight and then angle, and then down around the side. So there is technically a place on top on which Titus could theoretically ride if you can figure out how to what to hold on to on top of that flat metal.
Titus turns to Jaraxxus. He looks back to Nalik and says, "Give me just a minute. Let him know that I'm going to try to do something to ensure that I can stay."
But Nalik says really quickly, "I wouldn't tell him if you got some Magitech or something up your sleeve. Let him think that you have such a great prowess that you can't be thrown off."
That's fine. The Zek have weird, masculine rights, kind of weird stuff in our past. We don't subscribe to it anymore, but I understand this whole machismo bravado thing, so I'll go with that.
Well, he is a dire wolf.
And then, okay. And he turns. Titus turns to Jaraxxus and says, "Do you have your magnetic boots still?"
I do.
I think I've got an idea to rig up something that might allow me to hold on. All right. It might ruin them, but might buy us the type of trust that we need.
That is fine. I will, in fact, dig up from my inventory. I have here my 8-pound magnetic boots, and I will hand them over to Titus.
Okay. I'm interested to see how this is going to be rigged out, because I suspect the feet are a little different in size. The magnetic diaper, yes, Arudinel. Exactly right. And sleep well, classic.
What Titus would like to do is he will take off his own boots as well and remove the magnets from their default location. And on the boots, what I'd like to do is put them on the inside, as if like the inside of the foot kind of a thing, so that they actually when the boot lays across a part of the armor, right, it's going to magnetically hold on.
Okay.
And then separately from Jaraxxus's magnetic boots, I want to be able to put them into gloves and to be able to hold on as if like I'm holding on, just like flat hands and feet kind of a thing.
Oh, I see. So you have your own magnetic boots you're using. You're taking the magnets
correct.
out of Jaraxxus's for the gloves. I see.
Well, I'm taking the magnetics out of the magnetic. I'm assuming it's like they're like tiny electromagnets, right?
Right.
And so they definitely require a power source. And this is going to get a little weird because we still haven't sorted out the whole Sorium versus Magitech power source kind of a thing. But I'm imagining that Titus should be able to rig up something that basically allows him to have on his hands or his claws or whatever, like magnets in the sort of the palms to be able to hold on, and then on the feet, on the inside of the boot kind of a thing, so that it's actually like laying flat against it. And so that's what Titus wants to do.
Okay. I'm going to have you make for me then, please, a mechanics check. I'm going to see how well we're able to do this without destroying said boots.
Given that they're my boots, can Jaraxxus, and he's not going to just sit there and watch Titus do this all by himself. Jaraxxus will try to help, pull apart the boots and help with Titus with some of the work?
I will give you a +2 on this roll, but I can't do more than that because part of it is limited in terms of access. He's trying to get into the electromagnetic, so there's not a whole lot you can do. Like, you could also try to go in and get rid of the, get out the electromagnetics. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much room to work within that limited space of the boot. So I will say that you can assist a little bit by almost literally by holding the boot in place while the other person is trying to get the thing out. And yes, this is a good spot, I should mention, for inspirations. If anyone has an inspiration, you could use this at this time to assist.
Just asked in chat, so.
Mm-hmm. So we shall find out. And there's who the inspirations are. Also, welcome, Hilness. I saw you before in there, but good to see you, man. And once again, thank you for coming yesterday. It was great. So we have Classic. Oh, you just missed Classic or just left. Hilness has one. Nonstop has one. Nonstop was here earlier. Shouted has a couple, but I think Shouted has gone back to, is going to be here later on, but had to leave for now. Anyone?
Yeah, no worries.
Anyone? Okay. All right. But you can do this at +2.
It's all good. Let's just roll this.
No, it's all good, Prince Justin. It's fine.
All right, so how about a 23?
Hey,
Nice.
see who needs
Why
inspiration?
not?
You're all fine. Yes,
Yeah,
you
we're
are able
fine,
to.
we're fine.
You are able to get these things out, and they are kind of delicate machinery. Like, as you get it out, you worry that you may have, like, you know, wrenched one of the wires and all this stuff. But you do manage to get the thing out, both of them out of the boots. Indeed.
Okay. And so then kind of like remounting them, is that going to be a separate roll? Or
No,
am I able
it's
to
part of the
kind of
same.
just like getting them?
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's the
Okay.
same. So you're able to put them back into.
All right.
So now you have them into your gloves, basically.
Okay. The other question I have then is, how tall is the direwolf? Is it the kind of thing that where Titus is going to be able to jump on himself, or is it like he's going to have to be placed?
Direwolf is a large creature. In fact, let me see.
I think you said that they were medium size.
They are
when we were in combat.
No, they're large. This one is, and this also is a little bit bigger even than your average one. This is probably the size of a pony. It's a big ass wolf.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, you probably would need help or like some, I don't know, mounting device. You could ask it to, you know, kneel, like bend down, something like that.
Draxus can pick up Titus.
Hey, Amanda, again. That's true.
Okay. So the last thing that Titus is going to do as a part of all of this, as he's getting himself all set up and squared away and ready to go, is because he's got an explorer's pack, he's going to take out the inflatable bed, but he's not going to blow it up completely. He's just going to put a little bit of padding right here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just enough inflation. And so there's a teeny bit of padding so that when he's riding it, he's not bumping against the metal and his body is like taking a whole bunch of abuse.
Is this is just on the inside of, like, are you putting it in like in his tunic, like this thing?
Oh no! Yeah, kind of like just like he wears a flight suit, right? And so
yeah,
there's just
within his
enough
flight suit,
like
yeah.
padding, right? Just enough padding right there so that when he actually he holds on, he's not like bumping and grinding against the metal. It's like there's a little bit of cushion, so his body's going to take a little bit less damage. It's going to be a little bit less rough on him.
Gotcha. Okay, so you do that. And then if you're ready, Draxus, you can lift him up. The Gamork has just been sitting there the whole time, just kind of like, you know.
Assuming Titus, that is the method of ascension you were looking for. Okay.
Let's do that.
Draxus will pick up Titus and place him on the wolf's back.
Now, when you are placed on the back, first of all, you do, you know, stink, you know, you're able to attach to the metal. But the thing that I want to mention is that the sort of feeling of this kind of electrical thrill, like again, almost like a static electricity, Titus, that sort of, you know, runs up your body, probably coming from this thing. And the fact that the this is a creature. It's as if you're on top of a robotic beast that is both powerfully sort of machine-like with the thing that you're touching, but also very much a living beast below the machine. And as you sort of feel it, you can almost feel the sort of pulsing of electricity, perhaps in line with the beating of the creature's heart. And Mork says nothing until you're on there, and then says, "Now we shall see, little creature, whether you can keep up." And without warning, he springs backwards. Now, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. I'm not going to make you do this with every move that he makes, but I'm going to have you make a dexterity saving throw. I'll take acrobatics if you have that, for sure. I would take that. As you're holding on to this. Also, Mrs. Dunsel has donated $1 to the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we are now up to 1313. Let's keep that up. I see why you did that, actually. That makes perfect sense. Team Chaos has now fallen back in the mix as order has been restored with 1313. Thank you, Mrs. Dunsel, for doing that.
How about a 22?
Nice.
All right. You hold on as this creature is sort of springing up. It runs up the path, and as it does so, you feel the wind just like blowing past your hair. And when it leaps, there's a moment where, Titus, basically your stomach feels like it's dropped out below you, where the sky seems to just become the ground for a moment as the creature leaps up into the air. It runs up walls and then back down. It runs up to trees and snaps and bites and then comes back. And at one point, it basically comes through and does this thing where it runs all around, does all this stuff. You're like holding on for dear life. And then it runs at full speed, just racing towards Elu and company. And Elu sort of has her arms folded, still staring. Jaraxis, I assume you have recordings happening as this is going on. And Nulls, you can see that Gamork is coming directly for you and just, runs at top speed towards you. Quick question. First of all, is anyone moving or not?
No.
Okay, Draxus?
It's not coming towards me. It's coming towards Nalik.
Well, but you are in the path. I mean, you're in the path, right? So you're behind Nalik, but yeah.
Jaraxis will move out of the way, yeah.
Okay. And it moves towards you, and almost at the last possible second, it essentially sort of veers off, goes up to the side of the path down which you've been going, and runs up. And the best way I can describe this is, you've all seen the classic, I hope, kung fu maneuver. I'm wearing Bruce Lee, so it seems very appropriate today. The kung fu maneuver of running up the wall and then flipping, right? Like, doing that classic thing.
This is a parkour in Dire Wolf.
This is a parkour in Dire Wolf. It is a spectacular, actually, move, and it runs up, and there's a moment, Titus, where you feel you are now looking at the ground, and the sky is, above you. The sky is below you, and the ground is above you, and it flips around and then lands with a terrible jerk on the ground, and there is a pause, and then the creature... Are you still there? And you hear Titus,
This is fine. This is fine. It's fine. We're fine.
Okay.
And he slumps, just holding on, just slumps tired.
And Null says to Gamork, "I know you can feel him there."
Fine. The thing can stay if it wishes. But we travel when I travel. Stop when I stop. Eat when I eat. I must make my way, using my senses beyond sight. And this thing must not slow me down. But one who speaks, it cannot communicate with me, can it? How will I tell it what must be done?
I'm sure you have found ways to communicate with creatures who do not speak your language. And I'm sure the two of you will find your own common ground.
I generally avoid or eat other creatures, one who talks. But since I am driven, I will go where fate drives. Is the time come to depart? My spirit longs for something outside these stinking two-leg hovels.
So Knowles translates all of that to Titus, but she adds, and by the way, he keeps referring to you as thing, so you're going to have to work on that, getting him to perceive you as an actual person.
Though, good luck doing that when you can't speak his language.
I've got ideas. He's got all this electronics or Mac or whatever it is in him. There's got to be a way for us to communicate with him, because it seems like he was communicating over distances with something else. I'll figure it out.
Well, you just did the impossible by staying on his back, so I know you will.
And Elu sort of... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ted.
No, go ahead.
Elu says, all right, it's quite a display. Make sure that you are careful, Titus. You were sent with us to help. I would hate to find you missing or dead, whether or not I deal with this creature on the other side. And she says to... Go ahead, Titus. Yeah, go ahead.
We'll see you on the other side of the span. That's the best I can promise.
And she says to you, Knowles, ask him how long it will be before he meets us.
And Nolly translates.
Yeah. And the beast sort of... The moon will rise tomorrow night. We will be across before then. We will meet you when the sun next rises. Until then, may your kills be swift. And when you come, make sure there is no deceit, or this one you have placed on my back will be but a morsel of my revenge.
Well, if you seek revenge on my comrades, I'll seek mine on yours. Safe travels, and we will see you when the sun rises.
Let us go. And he leaps up and gallops off with Titus on his back. And we will come back to Titus and Mork in just a bit. This is a good time to just stop for a moment and welcome everybody to ArvCon 2023 Day 2. You are watching Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks into the Badlands. What's up, Lotwook? Good to see you. Lotwook, I know you were there yesterday and I didn't get a chance to say hi, and I wanted to say thank you for being at that event and for spreading the flyers and all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I saw that you contributed as well, so thank you, Lotwook. I appreciate that, and good to see you. So the creature gallops off into the distance, and as you are watching this chat, this is, as I say, Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks. If you want to support our charity, and we hope you will, Exclamation point donate. We have raised so far, I believe, almost $300, $250 so far in this session alone. We started out at about $1,100. We are over $200 now to $1,300, $1,423. Our overall goal, though, is $7,100. So we have made good progress, but we have long ways to go. So if you're interested, please do that. There is going to be another giveaway at $1,400, I believe. And we are continuing to push forward to raise money to fight cancer through cancer research and the support of young cancer researchers with Damon Runyon, which is, by the way, celebrating its 75th year. So they've been around for a long time and are a highly respected charity, which I give my highest recommendation to. So if you can support us, please do so. Thank you, thank you. I am joined, as always, by Johnny Pittman, who's taken a brief break, by Toya Kristen Finley, and by Zach Clay. Players, I will say that since we're going till 11, we're coming up till 10. I don't know how you feel about, do you want a few minutes break, or do you want to keep rolling until 11? It's up to you what you want to do.
I could use a break.
Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break. We will come back then at just a little bit after 10 o'clock Eastern. And in the meantime, chat, you know what to do. Please donate early, donate often, and we will see you back here in a little bit. Hang tight. Okay. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you to Lotwook for the most recent donation of $10. So we are sitting now at 1324.23. I love it. Let us continue to push forward. I am very excited to see that the numbers continue to go up. And we are back with the crew. We will be back with you for a little less than an hour. Oh, wait, I'm getting some inspiration. I can already tell. Yay!
Speaking of canids,
Oh
here's
my
Keiko.
goodness. Yay!
Yay! I may not keep her for very long because she's not into lap dogging so much, but I thought she needed to make an appearance on this charity weekend.
That is very awesome. That automatically means, by the way, that instant donations should happen as a consequence just of the arrival of the dog. That's really awesome. How's she doing, by the way, Toya? Is she good?
Oh, she's really good. I think I mentioned that while I was actually away, she got out of the fence a few times, and that was terrifying.
Oh.
But I mean, I live with my mother, and so we fixed that. So she was a stray, so she's used to wandering around and sniffing around stuff and getting into trouble. So, but yeah, that's all fixed. She's doing great. Yeah, she's a really good dog, and she's a really good dog for our other dog who has anxiety. So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
well, that's good on both counts. Makes it's gives me a warm feeling. So that's awesome. Okay, so chat, we are back, and again, I know you're going to hear me say this a lot this weekend. ! Donate to continue to push forward with Damon Runyon. I would love it if we could get up to let's say $1,500, $1,600 tonight. If we we're heading towards 2,000, I wouldn't be too upset about that. So please consider continuing to jump on board to support Damon Runyon. Our goal $7,100, and you can see that cool little bar provided by Tiltify right above where my camera is. Whoa! Wait a minute. That is... Oh, I think, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Claire and
indeed.
Carlos have just
Wow.
donated $500. Wow. As if on cue. It was the dog, I'm telling you. It was the dog.
Yes, it's thank you, Keiko.
Thank you.
Sorry, say that one more time.
Yay.
Carlos and Claire have surged into the lead as the top donator
Oh
with
my
a
God.
$500 donation. Thank you so much to them both. Carlos and Claire, of course, were part of the Damon Runyon. Were part of the live event at the Klein to benefit Damon Runyon last night. They did a wonderful job. They are very good people, good friends, and and also wonderful writers and amazing game designers. And you should all immediately go and buy tell everyone that you want to get Negocios Infernalis when it goes live in Kickstarter and all that. What's up, Rising Tides? Thank you so much to Carlos and Claire. That is really awesome. See Carlos coming through for the old Esper crew too, by the way. Like that's part of what's going on here too. Sleepwell says hi.
My man.
Right Teach
Yeah.
Play. Thank you so much, Right Teach Play. So, folks, that means the mods have some giveaways to do. It also means that we're now only $175.77. I think I got that right. Before we hit 2,000 for the night, which is amazing. Thank you, Right Teach Play, seriously. And y'all needed to see. If you did not see it, you should check out the video that we're going to have about this, because the work that was done by Carlos and Claire during the live event, to which Zach can attest, was pretty badass. Like it was amazing. So thank you so much. That's really awesome. Thank you, everybody. That's great. Thank you, Carlos and Claire. Well, that makes me feel really good. So we all can go home. No, we can't. We need to raise some more money, and also I want to play more games. So so again, Titus has run off on the back, or has been run off, I guess, on the back of Gamork. We will catch up with them in a little while. But first, we have to decide, once as Elu kind of watches him in the distance, fading away, then turns and says, "All right, now that they're off to whatever fate awaits them, it's time for us to get across First Span. Let's go. We need to make some progress if we can."
As we're walking, Nals has a question for Elu.
Okay.
I have a point of inquiry. Would anybody know about a pack of direwolves wearing armor?
And she sort of thinks about it and then says, "No, at least, well, I suppose we can actually talk to the governor of this place. I told you a little bit about him already, Fen Haddock. He's kind of a stern sort, but he's fair, at least as far as I know, and he's going to know more about this area than anyone else. But it's the first I've heard of wolves, dire wolves, having this done to them. And if they're acting as pets or whatever they are, we have to assume they're not the only ones. But I would ask Fen. He's the one who's most likely to know.
I have a feeling if we follow this armor, we're going to get some big answers.
I think you're probably right. This Magitech isn't something I'm familiar with, but it was something that we heard about before, at least when we were talking to some others. Darmuth said that these were the same kind of people that kept him imprisoned before he was able to escape, and before you saying, well, actually not you, Titus is not there anymore, sorry, that you, saying to Jaraxxus, found. If this is some kind of new Magitech, it makes sense it's the same person. I just don't know how the Primarch could have done all of this, though, without anybody knowing it, at least not anybody beyond his immediate circle. I was in the Guard. I thought we had connections, contacts with others.
Are there any secret hideouts he could have? Maybe anywhere in the world. Places that are almost barren, where no prying eyes could look upon his experiments.
Well, if you want to know about that, you need to go this way. And she kind of points almost over her shoulder because she's kind of pointing back in the other direction. She says, on the other side of these peaks, if we ever get through them, they're the Ashen Wastes. And once you get down to the Ashen Wastes, you know some of what you're likely to find down there. And of course, you know, Nulls, that the Ashen Waste is where that cataclysm, where that sort of, terrible sort of magical rift, I guess you might say, hit everywhere with Celaspire and the Great Sink and all that. It hit, really, the Ashen Wastes. Well, it wasn't called the Ashen Wastes at the time. They became the Ashen Wastes. And it is a place still to this day where prospectors and people sometimes will go to try to find, old and ancient technology from before this massive cataclysm, except that when they do that, they're obviously taking their lives into their own hands because it's some serious stuff that happens there. Also serious stuff is the fact that Hillness has just donated another $187 plus to bring us to over 2,000. It's over 2,000. This is what happened. Carlos laid down Now listen, Hillness is an adult who can make his own decisions, but I do want you to know I don't want anyone to bankrupt themselves supporting this charity as much as I am super grateful to people who are supporting it. It is a worthy cause. You surviving is also a worthy cause. So make sure that you're only doing this if you are capable of doing it. That said, apparently the gauntlet has been dropped again to Carlos and company. Okay.
Who's in the lead right now?
Right now, I think it's Hilmus is in the lead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Nulls responds to Elu. Do you think he found something there, that he's mining some energy source that even the ancients didn't write about?
And she kind of stops walking for a minute and looks at you and is kind of like, possible. Quite possible. But he never leaves his palace, at least in Camria, at least not that I've ever seen. But there might be others. The cultists, they have ways of getting elsewhere. Oh, so Hillness has contributed $500.01. That is really funny.
Oh my gosh.
Aha! That's funny. Anyway. So yeah. So.
And Null says they wouldn't be powerful if they didn't have henchmen.
And as she starts moving again, and at this point you have come right to the edge here of the bridge again. Go ahead, Draxus, if you want to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to mark, because some important conversations going on between Nalik and Elu. This whole time, Jaraxxus has been eating an apple and he throws the core and discards it off to his side as if he has not been paying attention at all to their conversation. And he's looking at his two-way communicator, and he's listening through it to hear Titus and how he's doing with the wolf. And so Jaraxxus is completely disconnected. And then once he sees that his companions have started moving again, he kind of throws this apple core to the side and he says, when we were at the New Camenport markets, the merchant there sold me this with my rations. They say an apple. And he said a very funny aphorism that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, which I thought was very funny because I really love these. And he throws the core out and he says, sorry, what were you two talking about?
The Primarch might be getting himself some powerful technology. There's a place called the Ashen Wastes. There's a cataclysm there that we still don't fully understand. But if he's somehow mining that energy, sending minions after it, it could be the key to all of this magitech we've been seeing.
Well, hey, where there's magitech, that is where Mr. Titus and I would like to go. So, Ashen Wastes maybe at some point. But Elo, do we need to know anything else before we head into first span here, or are we pretty much there?
And she says, I think it's fair to say that we're pretty much there. We will see how we do as we go through it. And we'll have to pay the piper in the end. And she points up to reveal what I believe is, let me studio mode so I don't pull up the wrong image. Oh, I do have it. Outstanding. And so you can see, this is now what you're looking at is not the village, it is the spire on the other side of the cleft. And the village itself is this sort of odd little thing. There were several guards who have already, noticed you and said hello before. But as you come in, these two humans and a dwarf who are pretty heavily armored, actually, although you note, I would say Nalls would definitely know that the armor is kind of like, it's vintage. Let's put it that way. It's like, it's well used. Like, it probably is effective, but you've seen, like, it's a far cry from the shiny armor that is being worn by the people in Camria, right? And even the New Camenport had stuff that was a little bit more fancy than this. This feels a little bit more like it's kind of an antique. Still effective, probably, but an antique of some kind or another on these two humans and the dwarf. And Elu, when she comes in, is crossing the bridge, says, we're here to cross the bridge. And the dwarf kind of nods and says, well, first you want to find Fen Haddock. You can see him back over there in the inn. He should be there eating there, at least. That's where we left him. Go talk to him.
Hey, what is your name?
And he sort of looks at you and he says, Koranes, why?
I am Jaraxxus, fellow is name Enders.
He doesn't smile. He just stares at you.
Right. Well, Koranes, are dire wolves a common occurrence in this area?
Well, we've seen a couple of them here and there, yeah. It's been a while, though.
All right.
Is that odd?
That we haven't seen them for a while? No.
Yeah.
Usually they don't want to be around each other much. They'll run around in packs, and then one pack will take out the other. And they're so damned big that their territory's pretty large. So you might see maybe a pack of 4 or 5, and that'll be it, spread out over a pretty wide area. Why, did you have trouble with them?
Trouble is one word for it.
And he kind of nods and he says, well, probably Fen will want to hear about that too. Not that we have enough to be able to send out patrols, but Well, it's important that people know if there's some kind of danger around here. At
Right.
least they're on that side of the cleft. And once you get over the bridge, well, at least you won't have that one to worry about.
Indeed.
All right, on you go. Fen Haddock will be there.
And
oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Noel.
okay, as they're walking along again, Null says, I'm wondering if Gamork's pack had a rival pack. And the Primarch promised Gamork that he could take out the rival with this Magitech.
It's likely.
And Elu says, you sure that it wasn't just the most meat for the kill? It's about as far as the thought process ought to go with something like that.
Well, I believe Gamork is a little bit more prideful than that. And if there was a rival pack that was pretty hard to take down, he just might want a little bit of help.
Wonderful. The Primarch getting involved in pack battles.
Well, the Primarch also mutated humans.
And she sort of winces a little bit, and she says, I know. You might be right, but it's going to take a while to figure out how far this all spreads. And she kind of sighs. By the way, Jaraxis, if you, every so often when because you said you were listening into the sound, what you hear is, which sounds like the sound of rushing wind as coming through and maybe occasionally like Titus, something like that, like holding on to the.
You mean there's no?
No,
Yeah.
you don't hear any growling, but you hear a lot of wind motion.
Wind and grunts and movement, and Duraxis will just kind of stare at the communicator and say, "I'll mute this for now."
Oh man, I just had this image of someone butt dialing someone else and just having this like is what it often sounds like. Anyway,
yeah, we'll go to the inn. Is there anything else remarkable that we see about?
I was
First Band?
just about to talk about that. Yes. Now, if New Camimport felt kind of like a frontier town, this is extremely appropriate based on what we were just talking about in the green room, actually, because this feels a lot more like Bartertown. For those of you who have seen the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, this feels a lot more like that. There's a bunch of ramshackle like huts and shacks and things like that, and a lot of it is stuff that seems to be repurposed material. There's some like stone and wood and metal all kind of mixed together in some weird combination. There are things which are mostly sort of first story, one story buildings. There weren't a lot of two-story buildings in New Camimport either, but at least in New Camimport you felt like there was like active trade. There was like, when you were Jaraxis, when you were in the market, there were some new tech things, or at least new to these people. But this stuff here doesn't feel new. This feels a little bit like the town that time forgot, that's just been assembled from the detritus of the years, right? Like all of this stuff that's been put together. And so the place itself feels very much like it's a kind of, almost as if it just grew like roots from the spot. And behind it, you can actually see, behind it there is a bridge, and behind the bridge you see some very, and I should say on the, kind of midway down the span of the bridge, walking over it slowly back towards the direction of the town, you can see a very, very large, armored, you think, not armored as in like grafted, but like armored, like with armor wearing figure that is apparently dark green skinned. You think it is a large troll that is walking on the bridge and kind of tapping on it and, sort of like putting his ear down as if he's listening to it or something like that. And you can see about the middle of the bridge beyond it. Again, beyond where First Span is. So this is really just like a small little village, and the inn is perhaps the inn, only because of this crooked sign that is leaning outside of it. And the inn on the front of it has this faded words, and you'd have to get up closer to the inn to actually see it, but since you're walking towards it, I assume you're going to do that. As you get close, you can see it might have been, the colors might have been painted red at some point, but they've now faded almost completely. And you can just make out on this eroded sign, "The Found Family" is on the front of it. And that's it. The building itself looks not much more impressive than anything else, except that it is a little wider and bigger. But that's it. One story.
Draxus is sure to get a shot using his recording unit of the inn sign hanging there. He gets some B-roll.
And as Knowles is looking up the sign, she says, which family was that?
And Elu shrugs. "I don't know. I've only ever been to First Span once before, and I was young. I don't remember anything about it."
Well, I'll go first. And Draxus will very confidently stride in and allow his 360-degree panoramic view recording unit to take all in the sights, as he does as well.
Inside this inn, and I think I may have... Do I have soundscape for that? I'll put a little bit onto this. Okay. As you walk into the inn, you can see that there are only 3 tables in the main room, which is apparently the biggest room that exists in the inn. And on one side of this room is what might charitably be called a big table. It's really hard to imagine it as a bar. But apparently, it's as close to one as you're going to get. There's a big piece of wood that has been stacked and leaning against the front of it, so you don't see, like, below the table itself. And behind the table, standing up, is a human who is actually looks to be a fairly young man, if you had to guess, with reddish hair and a sandy red mustache. And when he sees you, he bursts into this big beaming smile, and he says, "Well, travelers, it's good to see some new faces in here. Come, you must be thirsty after your trip. Come over." Now, the room is otherwise empty with one exception, and that is that one of the 3 tables, the one furthest away from the door towards the back, this round table, you can see there are a bunch of open, basically papers spread out on the table, and you can see several trays full of what look like coins. And there is a dwarf behind the table, seated at the table, with a quill pen, and is sort of writing and then sort of murmuring to himself. You can see his lips move as he pushes the coins around the tray.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Knowles is keeping this to herself, but she's wondering if everything is on the up and up. Has the Primarch's influence spread? Can we really trust these people? Of course, she's not going to say this to Elu, because Elu seems to trust him. What's his Haddock?
That's right. That's his last name, Fen Haddock. Yeah.
Yes. So Knowles wants to know, does anything seem suspicious in here?
Let me see. I'll ask you to do a check based on what your answer to this question is. Are you trying to get a sense of what the people, like, for example, are you sort of trying to get a read on the barkeeper, or the innkeeper rather, or the person behind the table, or are you trying to see if there's something random about the room itself?
Is there something random about the room itself? Is there anything cloaked? Is there any weird magic that
Gotcha.
might be hiding something.
Give me, what I will ask you to do is give me a perception check, and we'll follow that up with an arcana check. Let's do perception first.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay, let's talk about that before we talk about the magic. It does feel to you as if this is what it looks to be on the surface, as a very kind of rundown, ramshackle, like, last chance saloon, type of thing, that is sitting there. And it does look to you as if it's kind of, it's really it's stretching it to call it an inn, right? But it doesn't seem to you like there's any place that you could easily conceal secret doors and stuff like that. I mean, the village is basically built on the rock surrounding the cleft. So the idea that there's like a trap door or something like that below is, oh my goodness, we have gotten a $25 donation. Thank you to Nancy for the $25 donation. I think I may know who that is, actually.
Yay!
And we're up to $2036.90. This is amazing. Thank you. I think actually that we are, let me think about this. Yeah, we have this means that this group has almost moved into most money raised so far. So you are, I think, about $10 away from surging into the lead as the group that did the most. Thank you, Nancy.
I don't know if Keiko is a god, but I do know that she's a diva.
She's also a very successful diva, because it's the second time she showed up and instant donations happened. So I'm very impressed with Keiko. Live D&D was 1043. Well, then there you go. So we are, so it's about another $100 would get us there. I think would get them past that barrier, that threshold. Excuse me. Anyway, so that's that. You don't even think there could be like a trap door, Knowles, that could actually like go anywhere. Like it's just, it's just like built on rock. And the place doesn't have any other extra floors or anything like that. As far as the magic is concerned, I'll have you make an Arcana check for me, please,
Okay.
to see if you can sense anything. So we got a 13. So I would say there's no obvious like overwhelming sense of magic here, or even sort of technological magic per se. There's obviously some magic with you, sort of, around you, that is kind of reflected in the air, maybe even a little bit of a whisper of it, coming from Elu, but you have nothing specific. Arcana isn't like a detect magic spell. So it's just, there's nothing obviously magical about the area, from what you can tell. It probably just feels like it's a thing, it just feels like it's just an inn that has been built on the edge of this, sort of hanging on to the edge of this cleft almost, clinging onto it almost. So it probably is what it is, if you had to guess. And again, the innkeep, by the way, sort of gestures you over. Okay, thank you, Emily, for letting me know, and I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope he feels better soon.
Jaraxxus will approach the innkeeper and say, "Oh, are you Fen Haddock?"
And the innkeeper looks at you as like, me? No, sir. My name is Gazlan Opor. I am the ray of sunshine here in the Badlands, some people call me. But I am the proprietor of this humble establishment. No, if you're looking for Fen Haddock, he's over there. And he kind of nods towards the dwarf who is sitting behind the table and scribbling away and has taken no notice of his name being used or anything else.
Jaraxxus will turn back to Elo and say, "Hey, Elo, I know our ultimate goal is to get to Celis, yes?
Eventually, that's the hope, yes. Sooner rather than later, if we can.
Do we need any particular permissions from Fen Haddock? I mean, I'm great at all good to stop and grab something to eat, take a short rest, and so on, but did we stop here at this bridge for any particular reason?"
Well, we have to pay the toll, and Fen is the one who tells us how much the toll is. Can't cross for free.
Great. Or otherwise, I assume that the big creature will stop us.
I would guess. I didn't know exactly who was guarding it, but if that is a bridge troll, it makes sense.
All right. Shall I see if I can sweeten him up? And Jaraxus does not wait for a response and begins to walk over to Fanatic anyway.
Okay. While he's doing that, Gazlan says, I can put you up. I actually do have an extra room right now, or I might be able to give you a little bit of food. You look hungry. You probably have been up against it, I assume, kind of says to Elu and Nalls, who are standing there as Jaraxus is walking over to the table. And Elu kind of like shrugs and and says, well, the same old you might expect for coming down this way. At least it's been as busy as I imagine it always gets. And the innkeeper smiles and says, yes, of course, it can be quite unpleasant. Are you, and he turns to you, Knowles, does that mean you're not from around here either, just passing through?
Yes, I'm just passing through your lovely town.
Lovely. Well, I'm glad someone thinks so. That's not the way everyone feels, is it, Haddock? And he kind of says to Haddock, who, again, has completely ignored him. And he says, but, at least we hang on, we survive, and that's a pretty good thing in these days. If you can survive, well, then you can thrive. That's my motto.
Well, when I say lovely, I don't necessarily mean aesthetically pleasing. You are quite hospitable and gracious.
Oh, well, thank you. I do my best. It's important to do that. These people, poor people, have been sort of trapped in this travel, and they come to me, and, well, what's wrong with giving them a smile and a little bit of a sense of happiness here and there? It's the least I can do.
I'm sure you've heard lots of interesting tales from those travelers.
Ah, yes, many, absolutely. It's difficult out there, it really is. I'm glad that I'm able to make a living doing what I do. For the adventuring life, I admire what all of you do, but I don't think I'd last too long out there in the open. It's tough in the Badlands.
Well, how so? What have you heard?
There's all kinds of things. Creatures, dangerous beasts, things that spring up out of nowhere. I mean, take the place straight across the way. If you want to travel across there and deal with what you see, well, I'd be careful of that fingerbone spire. There's some weird things that happen there. And there are some, they say, he kind of lowers his voice, the walking dead. I mean, that may just be someone who's too happy to have a little bit of my drink. But I wouldn't spend too much time there myself. I prefer the company of the living to the company of the dead.
Oh, much agreed. But can we take a step back for a minute? Did you say things just appear out of nowhere?
Yeah, strange things. Sometimes I've heard stories of plants or things just springing out of the earth, or weird rock formations, crystal ones just popping out of nowhere as if it was something coming from, I don't know, over by the Barrier Peaks or something. I mean, we're nowhere near that here. The Barrier Peaks are east and south, but, well, some people say they can see those rocks just shooting out of the sides of the walls of the caverns, of the caves that they try to rest in at night, or walking along the path, and all of a sudden they just see something crawling towards them, something that shouldn't be. When those things all happen, well, we find ourselves, they find themselves anyway, frightened, and they tell me about it.
Now, what was it always this way, or are these new tales?
The Badlands were always bad, I guess you might say. They always had problems. Also, let me say thank you to Shadow Mage for that $15 plus donation. We're up to 2052.37. Thank you so much, Shadow. And he says it's always been kind of, bad. But the bizarre, the strange, well, that's something which I thought only happened over in the Barrier Peaks. Creatures being mutated or manipulated somehow. I hope it doesn't actually end up here. The Barrier Peaks are supposed to be just where they are and not spread over to us.
Well, that's quite a tale, and mutated. Manipulated creatures. Oh,
It's
wow.
frightening.
What could they possibly be doing? You've actually met people who have encountered such things?
Yes, but most of them say they either ran away from them or that, their uncle or grandfather or brother or sister or beloved got eaten up by one of them. I think that there may be a little bit of, trying to impress people here in the bar. At the found family, it's sometimes about the stories you tell as much as the person you actually are. But there's got to be the ring of truth to it. Enough people have mentioned some strange increase in these things for me to believe there might be something to it. I've never seen any of it myself, of course. Thank goodness we keep our bad things outside of this town to the extent we can.
And Found Family is a charming name.
Thank you. We
What
think
does
it's
it
important.
mean?
Well, you see, when I first came here, I was fairly young, younger than I am now, and I didn't really have much to speak of. I had left my family and decided to set out on my own. I barely made it here. This is before all these new things I was telling you about were happening, but still, the Badlands were always dangerous. And when I made it here, I realized that I didn't think I'd ever have the courage to go back. And so what was I to do? But then I looked around and I saw there were some good people here, some people that were trying to hold on. And I thought, perhaps I can make a living. I can, I clean up fairly well. I can smile at people, listen to their stories, give them a little bit of comfort and a spot of ale, perhaps. And so I went into business with Fen over there. And again, he nods towards Fen, and I'm going to talk about what you're saying to him in just a second. And he says, with Fen there. And I realized that I had all the family I'd ever need. This is a found family, this inn, and I'd like to think it can be that way for other people. Most people just tell me, you're too soft, need to charge more. But I say, what's the point of ripping people off to within an inch of their life? It's more important that we try to make life a little better for people, I think. So, anything I can do for you, Gazlin Oper, you can just ask me and I'll do what I can. And he kind of nods his head a little bit. You also, by the way, can see, Knowles, that behind his bar, there is actually a stringed instrument. And if you had to guess, it looks like a viol stringed instrument sitting behind the bar, leaning up against the wall.
Do you play the viol?
I do. I've played for quite a long time, actually. Usually give the guests a song or two before I turn in for the night. But we got a little ways to go before that.
Well, I look forward to hearing you play. I play a little myself.
Ah, well, there you go. Perhaps we can play a bit of music together. A little bit of a song doesn't hurt anyone in these days. So let's jump over to, while we're talking about this, Duraxis, who in the meantime has gone over and is now speaking, or has gone over to Fen Haddock. Now, when you get over there, Haddock is just, like
so he's writing
furiously.
something?
Yeah. And
Okay.
but with a quill pen on this blank paper, and every so often moves some coins in the tray next to him.
Okay. Can I, as I approach, can I look and see what it is he is writing?
Yeah, if you're kind of reading upside down, I guess you might say. It looks like figures. If you had to guess, it looks like maybe monetary numbers. It looks like he's filling out like a ledger. To the left column, you can see there are some names. Not many, but a couple. And to the right, you can see there's something which looks like amount, and then it's like times. You don't know what that means, but like number of people maybe or something.
Okay.
That's there.
Oh. Duraxis will sidle up next to him. Oh boy. Okay, so here's what Duraxis is going to do. His goal, Duraxis' goal, is that he knows if we're in this area, having a list of people who have moved in and out of the first span, which he assumes that's what this ledger is. Other people who have paid the toll and have gone through the bridge. Duraxis thinks that might be of some value, especially if the Primarch or other people are up to no good. Knowing who's been moving in and out might be of value, and Duraxis isn't sure yet if he will be able to talk Fen Haddock into letting him see this entire ledger. And so Duraxis' goal is actually to try to use his recording unit to snap a picture, I suppose, or to record what is on that paper. And I imagine that I'm going to have to do that intentionally. I can't just, automatically be like, oh, I have a picture of all those names now.
Right.
So Jiraxis is actually going to try to approach Finn Haddock and sidle up next to him, almost, assuming Fen is sitting down, Draxus is going to kind of be next to him while Fen is sitting down, almost like a parent looking over a child doing their homework kind of thing.
Okay, so quick note about that though. He has his back, basically the table is pushed pretty far over towards the wall, and he kind of has his so if you sidled next to him, you'd have to
I would
can't
be in
go
the corner
behind
with
him, really.
him.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be like, hey, how you doing?
Particularly awkward. Okay.
I should say, now that you get this close, by the way, the other thing to note, Haddock has ebony skin and this sort of dirty blonde hair, and you can see that his clothes are definitely, they're designed to be durable, but they're all pretty high quality. Maybe still a little on the older vintage side, but you get the impression that this is definitely, there's been work done to make them clean and presentable and maybe more impressive than the average townsperson, if you had to guess.
Okay. I have, in that case, it makes sense. I don't think Jiraxis would stuff himself in the corner next to Haddock. So as I'm still approaching, can Jiraxis make out any of the numbers on the ledgers? And I suppose at the very least, are they usually in the ones of digits, the tens of digits, the hundreds of digits? Is there no consistency?
So the second question I can answer without you having to do a check, and that is that they tend to be more in the tens. At least each row is in the tens.
Right.
And then as far as the other, you would need to make a perception check to see how far down you can actually see it. Because again, you're kind of looking, upside down, basically.
Of course. Yeah, I'll try one. Wow, look at that. We're rolling high today. 21.
Yep. Yeah, you can see that some of the numbers, they seem to be mostly one of two things. You see a lot of 5, and then 10, and then 5. And if you had to guess, the columns are basically in the leftmost column. So in the leftmost column you have names, but it's not clear if it's names or descriptions. You see things like dwarf, 1, blah blah blah, and then there's numbers next to it which might be like a date, and then the next column is usually either 5, usually says 5 or 10. And then the column next to it says, has just a single number. And the numbers range anywhere from 1 to maybe 6 or 7. And you notice that the more numbers on the right, the bigger the number is in the middle that I mentioned, that number there.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. The
So
last thing
he's scribbling
Jiraxis
away.
will do as he approaches is Jiraxis will sort of subtly have his recording unit on. He's not going to make a big show of it or anything, and just kind of have it on auto or what have you. Jiraxis is going to pull from his backpack a single gold piece. He has quite a bit from the trading he did at New Camenport, and Jiraxis is going to pull a single gold piece and flick it onto the table.
Okay. The gold piece hits the table almost simultaneously with Dark Sinner flipping $20 towards the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. Thank you, Dark Sinner. So we are now up to 2072.
I think the proper pronunciation is
Thank you, Dark Sinner.
Thank you, Dark Sinner.
yes.
I, Gamork, tell you are not. Right. So, thank you, Dark Sinner, very much. Okay. So, you toss the coin, and so it does this, and then flattens, and so is that a down payment?
Yes, for our toll. I assume that should cover it, yes?
It'll cover 1/5 of you anyway. And he looks up and he says, if you're looking to cross the bridge, if you're new in town, I can give you the amounts. And by the way, it's not polite to look at people's ledgers if they don't ask you. He goes back to, turns his attention back down to scribbling.
I never indicated that I was, my friend. Uh,
Yes,
5
you
gold for
did
each.
when you came over with whatever that was you were holding. And I don't know what that thing is in front of your face. It doesn't look like armor to me. But I imagine if it's doing you some good, it might be some Magitech device to see what we've got here. Well, my books are kept with paper, and the tolls are pretty simple. It's 5 gold per traveler crossing the bridge. If you have a vehicle, a cart, it's an additional 10 gold. So, 5 gold per person should be easy enough to get you across.
Right, of course. I make you for a shrewd businessman. Would I be correct?
I'm the governor of this place, and I've invested pretty heavily in it. It's been important to me to get a return on my investment. I think everyone deserves to get paid for what they provide, don't you?
Of course. Draxus will look back at Elu and
And Elu at this point has sort of has walked over as well. Nalls, you're still over at the bar, but you can also tell me when you want to come over, if and when. Elu moves up behind you, moves behind you, Draxus, and she sort of says, "Fen Haddock, then." And Fen raises his head and says, "Everyone seems to want to know my name today. I don't recognize you. You from the city?" And Elu says, "Not recently. We're just down passing through. We wanted to cross the bridge." "Well, you can get in line behind this one," he says, pointing his quill at Draxus, "unless you're in the same party, in which case 5 and 5, 10 gold for the two of you." And Elu kind of looks over to you, Draxus.
I will pay for 3 of us, actually. That one is with us over there. And I'll point at Nelly.
And he kind of looks up and he says, all right. Well, 15 gold then. And you can, how much gold do you have actually, Draxus?
68, now 67 because of the single gold I flicked him.
Right.
So I will then pay him another 14 right now.
He says, well, this was just the finder's fee. No, I'm just kidding.
Great,
okay.
yeah.
So you're down to 53, right?
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, Nalls and Titus, how much gold do you have?
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Let me take a look. Hold on a second.
Yeah, just want to double check. Also, while we're waiting, chat, we're going to be going for about another 10, 15 minutes at most. But I want to thank everybody, not just for the donations, but attendance has been really good today. The folks who came from GOG have stayed. So thank you, everybody, for watching. And this is a campaign that runs beyond just beyond the ArvCon. So I hope if you like it, you will come back for more of this and other campaigns.
I actually have 259.
259 gold?
Yeah, it comes with the background that I chose.
Okay, that's right. Yes, I do remember that. Okay. And one thing to remember, okay, that's fine. I think we talked about the fact that is something which may be noted in terms of, when the money comes out or has to be used. Titus, what about you?
10 gold pieces.
Okay. 10 gold pieces. All of which, by the way, are flying out of your pockets as you're bouncing up and down on the wall.
So he has 3.
Everything is sealed in a pocket. Everything is sealed.
Exactly, Toya. He has 3 in base 10, yes, as we've established.
That's funny.
Okay, so you put down the 15, and he quickly sort of, and like very swiftly, almost as if he were using an abacus, just each coin with his quill pen, like, until he gets to 15, and then he's like, all right, sounds good. And he takes this little mark that he has, almost like a little token.
Yeah, you know what? Jaraxxus is going to throw in, as he sees he's counting, Jaraxxus will say, actually, Jaraxxus won't say anything. Jaraxxus is going to throw in to the pot, the palm-sized shrapnel from the blown-up metal-covered direwolf.
Okay, so he's doing this, and then he stops. You've already paid. You don't need to barter anything else.
I was just curious to see if you knew what this was.
It's shrapnel. Anyone can see that. Why?
I mean, have you seen anything like it?
many times on exploded devices and things like that. You always carry around twisted pieces of metal. No offense meant, but I'm not really sure what you're getting at here.
We ran into some trouble outside your fine city here, your town. And you see Jaraxxus looks at Elu as if to... And actually, you know what? This is actually a great time for me to do this for the first time. Jaraxxus will look at Elu and with a quick twitch.tv/ArvCon of his of the tentacles in his beard, because the dentists essentially, instead of having hair, they have like tentacles, and so I'll move my tentacles in such a way,
Okay.
and I will cast, or not cast, I'm essentially using a Larima mental missive. So this is a racial ability.
Okay.
Because the dentist can speak telepathically using their tentacles. So
Yep.
here, I'll pull this up just to be specific.
I'll get rid of this.
So it
text in just a
says,
minute.
your tentacles, also known as Larima, can be used to exhibit a burst of psychic energy similar to the mental missive talent. The range of the ability is limited to 10 feet, which I assume Elu is within, kind of being next to me. And mental missive says, choose one creature within range. The target and only the target hears the message and can reply in a whisper that only you can hear. Now, a bit like the message spell in D&D, it assumes that you're whispering the message and it translates it, but specifically the dentist part says it's psychic, so I think it's telepathic.
Okay. All right.
But and then I'll say to Elu telepathically, I'll say, should we tell him about what we encountered outside?
And Elu responds, because she can, right? You'll hear it back.
Yep.
As you just described it, and says, he'll probably want to know. Like I said, he's not a kind person, but he's fair.
Jaraxxus will nod and makes eye contact maybe with Nalik for a moment.
Yeah, and is Nulls, I should ask, is Nulls staying by the bar, or does Nulls start heading over at
Nulls
this point?
is staying by the bar and she's watching everything very intently.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Jaraxxus will say, we were attacked by some armored dire wolves, a small pack, and they we managed to take them all down. They exploded after we did so. It seems as though someone or something has affixed metal armor to them, and also an explosive. And you see Jaraxxus sort of taps the metal shrapnel on the table.
So he kind of leans back. This happened outside First Span?
Not but 20 minutes ago.
Side note, I think it was a little longer than that, but...
Not but an hour ago.
Okay, I was going to say. I was just like, wait, what? Yeah. So he says, so, an hour's walk from here, you met these things. They had armor, you say. Armored up as if someone had put suits on them?
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of looks... And Nulls, I guess you might say that Gazlin... you might see that that Fen had it kind of like glances over at Gazlin, and Gazlin's sort of usual like beaming smile sort of wavers somewhat, and Fen says, "That's not good to hear. Dire wolves in armor that explode it's more of the Badlands getting worse." So, he looks up at both you and Elu. You said you took them out. Did you find anything out before they exploded about what made them, who made them?
The most attentive member of our little entourage here is sitting right at your bar. I'm sure she would be intrigued to tell you what we learned.
He kind of leans back and looks at you, Nulls. And again, since it's not a very big room, you're not all that far from him, actually. And he says, What did you sense about these things then, if you've got the sight, I guess, to see? What did you find?
The alpha of that pack referred to someone as the other one, who gave them their armor and their powers.
He kind of shrugs and he's like, the other one. There's all kinds of other ones here. I don't have any way to know what exactly that is, but it sounds like not a good deal. I don't know. Going out into the Badlands seems to be less and less of a going concern. We used to have a lot of people going over the bridge, prospectors, people going in both directions, but it's slowed up over the last couple of months to a trickle. We only get a few people going over these days.
Do you know of anyone who could be powerful enough to handle this magitech and to get dire wolves to heal?
Plenty of them before the cataclysm, but not anymore. I can't imagine anyone at this point that has the power that I know of except, well, they say the Primarch up in Cambria's got a lot of people behind him. He has a lot of people that he can use, but the Primarch's busy with Cambria. As far as I know, he doesn't have time to worry about anything else. And I can't imagine he's the type of person to start, well, doing things to people that they shouldn't be. He's always been pretty much a straight shooter as far as I can tell. And you all can see, without even an insight check, with the exception of Titus, you can all see Elu just kind of wince a little bit.
Has anyone visited from Cambria recently?
No, has been a while, actually. If you're from there yourself, well, you'd be the first visitors we've had in a couple of weeks, I'd say.
Weeks.
From Cambria,
What about before
yes.
then? What about before then?
Sure, we used to get some people come by this way, not just from Cambria, but from all kinds of different places. The north, the west, places even from the barrier peaks. Some scholars, some archaeologists, some treasure seekers, the usual mix. We had a couple from Cambria too, but not for a while.
Is that unusual?
Sure. But then again, everything about the Badlands is unusual. And I've had my head down trying to keep things running around here. I can't really tell for sure whether there's anything different enough that I need to go out and find out what's wrong with it. And if I do make that decision, well, it's going to be hard to manage. He kind of looks up and Gazlan says, well, it would always be hard to manage, but we get by, Fen. At least until you got back. You know, you might want to look into some of these things. And Fen says, I might, if I had people to do it. And he kind of looks at all of you and he says, actually, you all look pretty handy with weapons. Suppose that I said that you could cross this thing for free if you were willing to look into this little problem that you told me about. You said you took out one of these, but if there's more packs being made by this, what did you call him? The biggest one? The largest one? Something?
The alpha.
The other one.
Oh, the other one. Yeah, the Alpha said the thing about the other one. Right. Well, if you were to find this other one and take care of him, well, or it or she or they or whoever it is, well, then I'd be most grateful. And, well, perhaps I could even give you, let's say, extended passage. Think of it as a month-long pass for free, both sides of the bridge, as much as you like.
Well, that to me sounds like a great deal.
He says, all right. Then we can do that, but I'm going to have to take this 15 that you gave me as a down payment. If you manage to resolve it, I'll give you the 15 back. In fact, I'm going to put it, and he takes out a little pouch and drops the 15 coins one by one, like ding, 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 all the way. And he says, I'm going to keep this separate from the rest of the take. When you come back, if you've done so and you can prove to me that you've resolved this problem with this other one, then I'll give you this mark for free. And it won't just be good for the day, it'll be good for as long as you need for at least the next month. And the mark that he's referring to is this little token. And on the token you can see there's a crudely drawn, what looks like a bridge, kind of extending into the distance. And he hands it over to, I guess Jaraxxus is closest, and says, just show that to the troll at the bridge and he'll let you through. And if you have a problem with him, just tell him that I said it was okay to go by. His name is Flug, by the way, and I wouldn't play around or tell jokes. He has a tendency to take things literally. and he's not very good with sarcasm.
You heard that, Jiraxis?
Yes.
And so Elu sort of says, "All right, well, maybe we should make our way onward then. We should probably try to get over and see if we can meet the other party, unless, well, yeah, we should probably head across the bridge."
All
Let's
right,
go.
then, Finn, we look forward to solving your mystery.
I look forward to it being solved. Be careful out there. Don't get yourself killed. I'd hate to have to put these 15 coins into the rest of the take. He begins to write again. As he does that, I want to jump to Titus. Titus has spent the last 15 minutes as this thing is just like running along at top speed. Gamork has said nothing to you, except that as you are passing along, you can feel what feels like humming, and then every so often you think there might be like a chuckling sound maybe coming, but maybe that's just you sort of imagining it as he runs. And he's run down the side, and then, I should say down the side, let me explain. I mean along the side of the cleft. And then at a certain south of the town, at a certain point, turns, and you have this one moment, Titus, of like looking ahead of you and there's like nothing below you, and then whoop, and then it's roller coaster time, because he is now, Gamork, galloping down the slope. And he sort of gallops halfway down, slides, gallops, slides, and you're like, like holding on for dear life with all this sort of metallic stuff, right? With the magnetic stuff, on his metallic back, as he's just and finally gets to about midway where there's a ledge and slides to a stop. And he looks back at you and growls.
What do I see in front of me or around me? You said that we stop at like a cliff, like...
That's correct. You think now you're about halfway down the cleft wall, and you are at a ledge. Above you, you can see, like if you look to your left and up, you can see what looks like the bottom of the bridge, first span, that kind of crosses over. And below you on the other side, you can see the cleft that is sinking below. And below that, you can see what look like a bunch of ruined pillars. In fact, now that you get closer, Titus, you realize that what is on the ground is not just rubble. What is on the ground is actually fallen ruins. Lots of tall pillars broken in half. You wonder if maybe this was once a former bridge that spanned this gap before the one that is there now. But that is what you see at the bottom. And as you're sort of looking down there, Gamork growls again. And he kind of goes over to the side and kind of leans over. And of course, when he's looking up at you, can't see you apparently. But he's just kind of like, his head tilted in your direction.
What else? What else can you tell me about like his physical condition? Yeah, for example, is he breathing in a particular way? Is he like, is his nostrils like flaring as he's taking in the scents? Is he just like, is he moving, just kind of like shifting, keeping his muscles warm? Or, give me a general sense of like his disposition.
I'd like you to make an insight check for me, please. I don't know, last time I asked someone to do an insight check on a direwolf, but it was always the first time. Let's find out what a direwolf is thinking. I need Shaggy to translate. Look at that 2075 total. 125 away, chat. Or actually, 25 away for another giveaway.
Yeah, good time not to.
Yeah, he's just like no. I mean, one thing that you can say for sure is that you're surprised that his sides are not heaving with exertion. He's obviously breathing, so but he's not breathing super heavy. All right, sounds good, Hilness. Thank you again for the generosity so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Sleep well, Hilness. And yeah, I totally agree with Emily. It was really cool. So he is kind of like, breathing, but not heavily, and you're sort of shocked. I mean, remember, he was still injured, right? So he, despite this injury and despite the thing, still feels as if he can't be inexhaustible, but man, he sure doesn't seem weak. And you do notice that as he's kind of tilting his head around and moving, he does continually like sort of sniffing the air with his, even though he can't see with his eyes, apparently. And as far as moving about, he's not moving about very much. He's sort of just stilly sort of waiting. And then he growls. Growls back at you.
All right. And we've only been running about 15 minutes, you said?
Say again? Yes, about...
You said we've only been...
I would say 15 minutes before he went down the slope. Probably after the slope about 10 minutes. So about 25 minutes, maybe a half hour since you left the village.
Titus is going to disengage the magnets.
Okay.
And slowly sit up.
Okay.
Coming out of what essentially has been this sort of crouched, leaning against
jockey
the body
crouch,
kind of position.
Okay.
Right, exactly. It just kind of adjust a little bit and then just kind of stretch his limbs.
Okay.
But not say anything at all.
Okay. And you do that, and Gamork seems to take no notice. It's just sort of sniffing the air.
Okay, and Titus is slowly going to lower himself to the ground.
Okay. So lowers yourself to the ground.
Step back.
Okay. And
that's it.
Gamork sort of looks over, and by look I mean sort of turns his head. And then kind of pads slowly past you, his back above you as he goes by, and then comes sort of close to one sort of side of the cliff edge where he is, and sort of looks down, and then sort of lifts his head again and kind of begins to sit back in his haunches, and then stops and kind of and then growls at you, Titus. Growls something at you.
Titus, cautiously and slowly, keeping a respectful distance, but not going too terribly far, walks forward towards the edge and gently sits down and dangles his short legs over the edge. And just kind of takes in the view around him.
Okay. From here, you can see again the ruined pillars that I mentioned even more clearly. There looks like many of them were made of not stone and rock, but smooth marble. Although long since obviously devastated and dirtied, but not the kind of rough and ready stuff you saw back up at the village of Firstspan. And as the wolf kind of sort of looks at you, kind of lowering its head and looks in your direction, and then looks back, still sniffing the air, and then and sort of bumps his head into you as if to, tell you to look in a certain direction.
Sure, I'll look in that particular direction. If it requires a perception check to kind of figure this out, I'll
Exactly
do that
what I was
too.
going to ask for. Yep.
Okay, let me do that. And here we go. How about an 11?
So you see what looks like a glint of something off of metal. And what's odd is that it's coming from below in the cleft. but the glint is getting brighter. And as you look and you see the glint getting brighter and brighter, you see that it's moving in regular pattern as it's spiraling up towards the ledge. And the wolf backs up, growls at you, maybe with a note of urgency.
Titus gets up, backs up behind the wolf, and slowly pushes, but does not try to mount.
Sorry, you broke up there. Slowly does what?
Slowly, but he backs up, like gets up off the ledge.
Yeah.
Walks his way over towards Gamork, but does not try to jump onto the back, and cautiously just kind of reaches out a hand and pats the wolf on the side, whether it's on the metal plate or on exposed sort of fur or whatever. He's just going to pat twice and then back up.
So you do that. The wolf sort of and then turns and flips around, turns around quickly, and then quickly lopes back to where there are some loose rocks and boulders just by the side of the edge of the away from the edge, towards the cliff itself, and then wiggles his way behind one of these boulders and growls at you as this metallic thing keeps getting higher and higher.
Pulling a pistol, Titus is going to maneuver towards those rocks and just kind of like seat themselves next to the wolf, but not close, keeping a good fair distance, but finding a way to just kind of hide. And if you want, I'll roll some sort of stealth.
Yeah, stealth check, please.
To hide behind the rocks.
Or I'll take survival, either stealth or survival.
I'm better at stealth. How about a crit?
Well, that you just vanish completely. Okay. You do this just in time because this and you were able to see from your vantage point a small metallic drone, a red glowing eye at its front. Kind of is like the red light kind of scans over the cliff where you are, the ledge where you are, I should say, and over the boulder, and sits there probably for a good 30 seconds. And then slowly turns and starts circling up again above the ledge. And after a good minute that's passed and the buzzing leaves, you hear and Gamork is, with his sightless eyes, glaring up at the sky where this drone was, his teeth bared. And that is where we're going to bring tonight's session to a close. Well, I did not have on my bingo card that we were going to have Titus going off with Gamork, though I knew that was a possibility about mounts and all that stuff. That was not something I was expecting, and I'm loving this kind of like enemy mine feel and all this kind of stuff that we've got going on. And of course, who knows what's going on with the drone and everything else. Meanwhile, of course, the rest of the party is figuring out how to cross the bridge as well through this like ramshackle town. But it is going to be interesting to see what happens when you get to the other side of First Span and what you will note about these things as you gather this information. So very good stuff. And as always, it is a great pleasure to be able to play Gamork, whether I'm talking with characters that can't understand him, like Titus right at the moment, or whether I'm talking with people that I can, like Nulls. I mentioned this in chat, Toya, but I love the cadence of Nulls' voice that you do. I just really, it's always this very like flowing jazz of Nulls. I love it. So it's very cool. I am going to start, though, as we move. And more importantly than all of those things that I just mentioned, which are amazing, is the fact that we are now up to 2075 for the amount raised, which means that we have now, I believe, crossed over the threshold, which means that now this group is the top group so far in terms of having raised money. for the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. So thank you for amazing work with this stuff tonight. It was awesome. I'm going to start with Zach, bottom right. Zach, great stuff today, I think, from Jiraxis. I love the idea of Jiraxis sort of trying to kind of gather information, but also is trying to do so in a way where he can kind of follow his own counsel about some of these things, even when it came to, for example, being like, instead of being like, oh, well, you can manage this, Titus, you got this, instead of being like, yeah, good luck talking to him, when you don't even understand its language and getting all the information that you need. That was a lot of fun to watch being played out with Jiraxis. And I'm also going to be curious to see that idea of whispering to Elu using that sort of psychic tentacles. Everyone's got their own awesome mini communication things, which is very cool. But it'll be interesting to see how Jiraxis plays this as time goes on, and as Jiraxis is sort of pushed to the forefront as one of the, in quotes, spacefaring creatures, and how he's going to play this out. How did you feel about our session tonight? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
Felt great. It's a pleasure sitting down with you as the DM and my fellow players, and being in this brand new world. Being a space sci-fi character and talking to a dwarven bridge master. Hey, I'm here for it. It's been a lot of fun. I'm very curious. I think we definitely know a way or two about throwing a wrench in things and taking the path not often chosen. And I also did not have on my bingo card Titus riding with magnetic gloves and boots a direwolf at the edge of a cliff. And it's going to be good. A blind direwolf, no less. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. And I have a lot of ideas and plans for how Jiraxis can try to upgrade his rig and his influence in some ways which we have previously discussed as well. But I felt great about tonight, and I will be here, of course, for Mysterious Peaks when we play next. Old habits die hard. Of course, also for our vocalists, where we have freshly started the last chapter of Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Yes, objection! Which has been a lot of fun with our new cast members there for our vocalists. And then soonest, the people of this channel will find me well, you'll find me very, very soon, in a few moments. But tomorrow, I will be here for the concert section of ArvCon, sort of flanked by two great guitarists, I believe they both are. My act in the middle of the concert night tomorrow will be certainly a bit out of the ordinary, we'll say. And so I'm looking forward to that and showing off my musicianship there. But yeah, very excited, very proud of what we've raised, and excited to see everything going forward. So it's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. And I will, I'll see you in a few minutes because, you may or may not be in my house.
I will, yes.
Moving right on up the line. Toya, as I said, I am an increasing fan of Knowles all the time, mostly because I think Knowles, as I say, has this certain cadence that I appreciate, but also Knowles, you get the impression, is always like, still waters run deep, right? Like is always thinking, always processing about the way the world feels. Like, I hate to use this term, but right, like Knowles really is about vibe, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Like the vibe of this and figuring out what is going on in this world, I think is going to be important for Knowles. And I thought it was interesting that now, as we'll talk about when I get to Johnny, like Titus now doesn't have your ability to be able to translate and speak to Gamork. And Gamork obviously on some level respects the one who speaks. And so I was really enjoying, that process of going through and thinking through about maybe the Primarch thought this, maybe the Alpha Pack was, fighting another Alpha Pack and the Primarch sold this, that. Like, I love to see the sort of putting two and two together, as these things are going along. And I'm obviously not going to talk about which theories are or are not accurate, but I really like the thought process that's going on there. And I'm going to be interested to see how Knowles feels about things on the other side of the cleft, and whether, what happens when they are reunited with Gamorreek and, of course, Titus. How did you feel about today's session, and where will the fine folks see you next?
Yeah, Knowles is a person who likes being friendly and enjoys people and experiences. So it's kind of been interesting for me how to balance like the darkness and like the risks that she takes and like the danger that she's not afraid of with that other side of her. I loved the whole interaction between Titus and Gamorreek, because I remember originally, Titus had wanted to spare Gamorreek because Titus wanted a mount, and it has evolved beyond that now.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, Titus seems to have a respect for Gamorreek now, and understands that he could be a great ally, but at the same time, it seems that he also has concern for him. It's like, well, how can I heal? It's not just removing the explosive, it's also like, how can I, heal his wounds? So that was really interesting to see, and I imagine that that's going to be a fascinating relationship. Once I have a feeling that, if Gamorreek survives whatever, they've encountered, that's going to be a fascinating relationship, and one where Gamorreek has more respect for the one who does not talk, um once everybody gets back together again. And it seems like, Elu thought Knowles was crazy, probably still thinks Knowles is crazy, but still seems to respect her, even though Knowles was determined to get the respect of Gamorreek. So that was a lot of fun. Where can people find me? As I say, I'm not very active on the internet. I'm on Twitter as Toya K. Finley. My website is schnoodlemedia.com. I'm available for editing both books and video games. I also do sensitivity reading, if you are interested in any of that. And also, I'm a weeb. And, as someone who's going to represent weebs, I am going to talk about Hell's Paradise, which is new this anime season and is a fantastic shonen with an intriguing mystery, and not enough people are talking about it. So go watch Hell's Paradise. It's on Crunchyroll. Thank you very much.
Before I go on from you, can I just quickly ask you to weigh in on Trigun, Bigilus Dickulus, and This Is How You Lose the Time War? I'm sure you've heard some of this about the incredible, like, overwhelming yeah. So, like, is that a thing that you're not surprised about because Trigun people are awesome? I don't know if you know much about that one, but
Trigun has like a new series coming soon. It hasn't aired yet.
Okay.
Trigun's like the people behind Cowboy Bebop, if you know that series,
I do
also
know that.
did Trigun. I mean, I like Trigun, well enough, but the thing I just found so cool is that the creator of Trigun basically read the book that Bigilus Dickulus was so passionate about because of his passion, and actually responded.
Oh, that's cool.
To
I didn't
him.
see that. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
And like he, writes in fluent English and like responded to him. It's really cool. So yes, that's the thing that's really cool about that.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that one. Yeah, listen, that energy is some good energy all the way around. So I think that's really cool.
We need more of that.
We do.
Social media for good and like wholesome and surprising wholesome things, not surprising awful doom scrolly things.
Yeah, like no joke. And a lot of people in chat are talking about nonstop. So like Hell's Paradise is great. Hell's Rising Tides, Hell's Paradise is very good. Also like Death Mount Death Play.
I haven't heard about that one.
Okay.
So I'll have to look into that.
I looked up being like anyone who is expert in anime. But at least I have heard of and seen a little bit of Cowboy Bebop. So anyway, thank you, Toya, very much. Always a pleasure. And and in 2 months, by the way, chat, no, 2.5 months, you will see Toya at the Gen Con Writers Symposium as well. So you will not want to miss that, because that's going to be thing is going to be awesome. You will want to be at the symposium. Thank you, Toya, so much. Last but certainly not least, Johnny, again, we had talked about the mount, but as Toya just pointed out, this is beyond that. So I loved the image, though, of like, speaking of anime, is there anything that fits more anime but Titus, the Zek, on the freaking wearing metallic gloves and boots on the back of this armored dire? What, like, I don't know. I'm just like, that completely fits to me. And I love the image of what's happening there. I also like this sort of slow way in which I can imagine Titus is trying to gain the respect and trust of Gamork, and whether that's even possible to be done and all that kind of stuff. And no one can doubt Titus's bravery. I mean, we've seen Titus sort of like put himself out there when he was fighting against the power armor, you know, and he's doing the same thing by getting on the back of it. The fact that Draxus was like, whoa, that's suicide. That's a death sentence that you're taking is no joke, right? And yet you were able to, Titus took step forward and did it anyway. And now you've got this issue with the drone to consider. So obviously you've got your two-way communications with the rest of the crew, but it'll be interesting to me to see how Titus maneuvers and manages this until you're all, you know, reunited on the other side, hopefully sooner rather than later of the cleft. How did you feel about tonight, Johnny? Where will the folks find you next?
The evolution of what the situation is around Gamork is largely due to the amazing choices that Toya made last session, and so I cannot say enough of how fun it was to watch the interaction between Toya's, Nalik coming forward against your Gamork, Greg, and it was just like the example of just the interaction and the sort of the story that developed out of just curiosity, I think, is really one of the best parts about doing this kind of a show and a game. So kudos to the both of you, because we're only there because of you too. So just let's be honest. Otherwise, it was great. Loved the ideas that came up. I'm very curious to see the way that this all kind of plays out, in large part because it feels like the Gamork character is going to give us an opportunity for some storytelling for each of the characters in their own unique way. And so, Titus and Nalik have come forward. I have a feeling that if we can find a way for communication to work without, the ability, then we're going to see Draxus, having a check-in, doing an interview, just making things really interesting. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Fine folks, will see me here next whenever we actually play. I will have an announcement the next time we actually play. We'll be doing
good
something
announcement. I've heard a preview of this announcement.
It's a lot more official than I was expecting before, but yes, I will have an announcement the next time we play, and things should be pretty good. So otherwise, congratulations on raising the money so far. I'm glad that we're number one. We've been number one, at least the Esper Genesis crew has been number one a number of times, and we'd like to keep it that way.
Yep.
This show needs to be best show. Just saying.
That is, but and I really appreciate it very much for reasons this crew knows. I appreciate very much that folks stuck with things tonight. So thank you so much to the wonderful players. And yes, they are officially in the lead because Shadow Mage contributed another $25. So we're now sitting at $2,100. So we are only $5,000 away from our goal, which we want to reach by the end of Monday. So we're well on our way. Excellent progress tonight, and of course a wonderful session. That's true.
That was
Rising
800 during this session, wasn't it?
more than that, because we started with no, that's true. It was 800, but you actually made more than, because we had started with a little bit at, I think we were at 1045 was what they had made last night, and then there had been a little bit extra. So we made, actually no, I think we were at 1100 when we started. We were at 1100. So this is 1,000 that you raised tonight.
Wow.
So $1,000 in about less than just right at 3 hours. So that's like good stuff. So thank you, folks. And again, to everyone in chat, this really is making an actual difference. 100% of this is going directly. There's no overhead here. It's going to Damon Runyon, which has one of the lowest overheads of any charity you will find. And now it's 2101 thanks to Echo, the power of chaos. But that makes a huge difference. And they really, They have done amazing work. And I'm going to play probably tomorrow a video from Damon Runyon. I tried to play it last night, but it didn't work very well at the Klein. But we'll do it on my setup here, and we'll be able to get a better sight of it. That really shows you some of what they've done. So thank you to the amazing players. Chat, can we get some love for our amazing players tonight of Johnny Pittman, of Toya Kristen Finley, and of Zach Clay? Johnny and Toya and Zach, thank you very much. And I will see you folks back here very soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Greg.
bye for now.
Bye.
Oh. Okay. Great. That's wow. Like, good stuff, everybody. We really did it today. Really made some good money along the way. I'm really loving the Tiltify thing that I can set up top so you can actually see the bar and it keeps track of it. So I have that number down below. But oh no, wait. Let me read this. I saw a bunch of things go at the same time. So hold on, let me read this quickly. Last few days I've been alternative testing Arv and my wife. I got home today, I had a Dove chocolate, which if anyone knows has quotes in the wrapper. The quote was, "Any time is good for love." I gave it to my wife who was watching TV with my daughters. Now, sometimes when my kids are around, I want to tell my wife something I don't want them to hear. I'll text it to my wife. After I gave her the wrapper, I texted her. I texted her something very dirty. Very dirty. Not a picture, just words, but very dirty ones. I hit send and realized it. Then look at who I sent it to, and I might have just sent it to Arv. I almost had a heart attack. Luckily, I did actually text it to my wife, but for just a moment, I was terrified. The moment of horror that would have gone across your face. Because you know what I would have done, right? I would have been like, I'm just going to delete this text. Like, this what would have happened. Oh, man. I needed a little bit of a laugh. That's funny. Your secret would have been safe with me, Drew. That's really funny. Well, I'm glad that you didn't have to feel embarrassed about anything. That's funny stuff. We did good today, folks. We did good. Good work today as I slide back over to our main screen there that we're using. 2101. That is some good stuff, folks. We made some good money tonight, and again, all towards Damon Runyon. Now, remember, this is only the beginning of the virtual section. This is day 2. Tomorrow is day 3 of ArvCon, and during day 3 of ArvCon, we will have our most sort of continual day, I guess you might say, because we will have, first of all, at noon Eastern, we have got the interview with the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation scientists. Then at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, I believe it is, we will have D&D with GOG Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So we've got that going on. That's going to be a lot of fun with the GOG crew of Darksaber 2K, of Peripheral Mike, of Pyron Jade, and of Ananda will be here. Then we will have at, I believe it's 4 p.m.-ish. I need to look at the times again. Oh my goodness, it's him! He was here the whole time.
The whole time. Oh.
The call was coming from inside the house. So that is going to be Shire Adventures, which we're going to have going on. And then we will have our concert, and it's going to be featuring Kilgore Trout, this guy right there, this person back there, and we will have Indy, Jordan Gonzalez, who's going to be back, and Indy is going to be awesome. I'm excited for all of these folks, actually. Kilgore's got great internet now, so Kilgore's very pumped up about that. Also, special thanks to Kilgore and the GOG community for rating tonight. That was really helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's true, it is Ananda's first time on ArvCon. That's true. I hadn't thought about that, Echo. No, that's not true. That's not true. No, Ananda was with us last year when we were doing the special thing involving something that Emily and Classic Aura got way too much amusement out of. But it was the one-shot D&D event that we did. So she was there with us last time. She was on ArvCon before. But it's her first time on ArvCon as part of the Ghosts of Saltmarsh campaign. So that is definitely the case. And I believe the reason Pyron Jade was not here last year is because she was at an Elton John concert. But that guy's retired, so no, it's fine. Anyway, moving right on down the line, we have the concert. Then on Sunday, of course, Saturday night, very important, we have the climactic conclusion of Dragon of Icespire Peak, Community D&D with the Shadow Crew. I have been promised by no less than Drew the Damager that there will be an explosive arrow fired down the gullet of a dragon at some point. And all I can say is, listen, if you're going to start texting me, dirty messages that came from a Dove wrapper meant for your wife, then you should probably do community D&D, what I say. So you need to make sure that you do that. I am excited to have Shadowed practice the dragon voice, because if I can do this all the time, you ought to be able to do something with the dragon without destroying your voice. So I'm very excited for this, the finale of Dragon of Icespire Peak tomorrow night. On Sunday, we have D&D with Infinity and Beyond, Eberron, Oracle of War, our marathon session, noon to 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 hours of goodness of D&D with I&B. I'll be wearing our new shirts that we've just gotten for Infinity and Beyond. It's from season 3 of Oracle of War, called Lord Bucket. Then on Monday, and also Shadowed, quick note, programming note, I was hoping we could get, I haven't had a chance to ask you, but if we could get the schedule updated when you have a chance, I want to do that now. Brandon O'Brien, Rising Tides, who I think is still in chat now, is going to be running something from noon Eastern to 3 Eastern, featuring, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Valerie Valdez, and I don't remember who else, because I wasn't sure. I'm not sure that you were sure, Brandon, but if you could let us know who that is, that would be great. Then from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have the scientists, the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation scientists, are going to be back playing their game with Turbo Tango, otherwise known as Michael R. Underwood, who will be GMing. That will go until 6, and then wrap up will go from 6 to about 6:30. I'll be back with you then to wrap up things at that point. So that's what's going on over the next few days. Giveaways, concerts, tabletop role-playing games, interviews, all the goodness, and it's all going to continue to happen tomorrow, starting at noon Eastern. Since we do have a good number of people here, I think we are going to do a raid, because we do have a lot of folks. So I'm going to take a look and see who is on, but I would ask you all, please, to continue to donate. And please continue to donate to this, because this is a charity that is worth supporting, and we are less than $5,000 away now from our goal. Let's see who we've got that I want to raid here. I could raid Kilgore right back, I guess. I don't want to do that one. Let me say... Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to raid the person that we... Oh, well, no, I could raid... Choices. Okay, chat. I'm gonna let my guest here decide. Should we go for someone with whom we are quite familiar, which is this person, or should we go with someone who we just raided recently, who's brand new to us but not to Shadowed Mage, who is this person?
I would say we chaos reigns and we choose the person we haven't done much.
Which is this one.
Yes.
All right. I love it. So we are going to raid someone. The way that you raid, you need what that was from Monday again? No, that's no problem. Just very simple. It's not Echo. So it's very simple. From noon to 3, we will have the Rising Tides. Brandon O'Brien is GMing for... I don't know who, though. I think it's Valerie Valdez. Brandon, if Brandon is around and can confirm, that would be great. But at least you could just say 12 to 3 p.m., Brandon O'Brien GMs a game with players TBD. And then from 3 to 6 p.m., Michael R. Underwood runs the tabletop role-playing game for the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation scientists. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. Wonderful. So from 12 to 3 will be Rising Tides and Valerie Valdez playing a 2-player game to be determined. Thank you, Brandon. That's 12 to 3 p.m. And then from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern will be Michael R. Underwood running the game for the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation scientists. And then we have wrap-up after that. So that's awesome. And thank you, Rising Tides, for all that. Hey, what's up, Crit Twitch? It has been, but there's plenty more time this weekend, Crit Twitch. I totally understand. I hope you're doing okay. We raised a good amount of money today. We're at 2101 so far. Our goal is 7100, so we're less than 5,000 away. So the way to do the raid is very simple. If you are not a sub, oh yes, Rob. The meeting, Rob, was great. I got a chance to meet Rob. Zach got to meet Rob as well. And Drew got to meet Rob and all that. So we got to meet him in person. It was great. He looked exactly as I might have expected he would. And it was fun to get to hang out with Rob. He got there and then was there and then immediately kind of turned, had to head back home not too long afterwards. But it was really fun to play with him in person. And he was great, as you all saw, as part of the whole event. And yeah, so I find it only took me, 10 plus years of living in the same city as him, when I knew him, that he existed, to be able to get together. I just had to move to Connecticut to actually meet the guy from New York, but that's classic. Anyway, it's going to be a good time. So I was very glad to have Rob there. So I also should mention, by the way, that the top donator is going to be winning a prize from one Drew the Damager. And I have not shown this off yet, so let me just show this quickly. Top donator is going to win this. The top donator is winning this spectacular, I think it's fair to say, spectacular lighthouse picture. It is gorgeous. And there we go. I got it without the glare. Who is that? Okay, yeah, that's my light. There we go. It's like, wait, it's Moon Alliance, right?
Yeah.
But there we go. So that is the picture of it. It is gorgeous. And it is really spectacular. I mean, again, I was arguing with Drew today about the difference between professional and amateur. I understand what he means, but still. And then on the back, as you can see, it is, as always, this is made so you can hang it on the wall. It is a beautiful piece, and the top donator, and I believe currently that is Hilness by $1 over Claire and Carlos, $501. That will go to the top prize donator. The second prize donator is going to receive. The second prize donator is going to receive this. Well, what did I say? Top donor. What? Oh, as opposed to top donator? Listen, Triffid, all right? Maybe you want to stick with donor, but fantasy writers, okay, we can add things. Yes, you're right. Top donor. The top donor is going to get that. The second top donor is going to get this from the amazing, thank you, Shadowed, the amazing and incredible Prince Justin, who has made this for us. This is a picture. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. This is a picture of a lotus flower at a temple in Vietnam. Very, very pretty. And again, has this stand where you can put this up and place it right there. In case you're wondering why I'm like holding in all the places, because Prince Justin was nice enough to send me one of these too, and it's going to go in a very prominent position in my office. I'm honored. But the second one is going to the second top donor of this as well. So that's going to go to the second top donor. I will ship it to you. Now, the third top donor, I want to just double check quickly about this because I'm not looking right now at chat. The third at Discord. The third top donor, can we confirm, Triffid and Emily, is that the gray stick or is that the fourth top? Can you remind me if we're doing that as a drawing? Because I just want to make sure I'm clear about when gray stick is coming into the mix, because gray stick is amazing and all that. While you answer that question, I'm going to okay. It is a separate drawing. Right, the random drawing, right, which is going to be for the gray stick thing. I'll talk about that in just a minute. So, and thank you. That looks perfect, Shadowed. I am putting that, I'm going to put that right now in the spot where it's supposed to go. So bear with me just a second. That's the wrong thing I just opened. No, it's not. No, it's not. I need to doubt myself less. Okay, there we go. There's this. And now I can change the background. What is it? That one? No, that one? No. It's this one. That is going to get changed to from draft 2 to draft 3. Hey, there we go. There's the schedule. Thank you very much, Shadowed. Man, that is great work. Thanks to Shadowed for the splash screen and the overlay work and all this stuff. Chaotix did some early work on this, obviously, and a lot, and back in the day, but we've built on it since then. Dragon Spear has also done work on this, building on it, so it's great. So now this drawing right before the concert, one winner will be drawn from anyone who donated $1 to receive a printed signed gray stick, the Angsty Assassin on the Roof. Very awesome Angsty Assassin. Comic written and illustrated by Edie Ebell on an appropriate theme of the winner's choice. You have to be in chat at the time of the drawing to win, and the comic will be revealed by Arvin, that's me, at the start of Tuesday's regular stream, and that one's going to be pretty cool. I actually am quite fond of Graystick, which I think is a lot of fun, and so you should definitely check that out if you want to win that random drawing. Now, the third top donator, I believe, was getting, I believe it was a prize pack of some kind, but we had not discussed what the prize pack was. Is that correct from what people remember? Oh, you whispered what I know about the third. Okay, hold on. Twitch Whisper, yes. Yes, perfect. Yes, thank you. Exactly right. The third top donator is going to receive a board game pack from Catalyst Game Labs, and boy, do I have some board games from Catalyst Game Labs. Consisting of one copy each of Vikings and of the game Smart Camelot. Now, I have not even had a chance to open it, but this comes from Lynn Vander through Catalyst Games, and both of them look cool. Vikings is actually based on the show, but Smart Camelot is a show that I'm actually looking forward to possibly playing with Zach and company this weekend when we get a chance to see it. But it's got this sort of 8-bit pixel aesthetic. And can you actually do me a favor and just grab the one from the shelf there? It's right. Do you see it's like in the middle shelf? Yep. Sticking up. So it is this one. Thank you very much. Super Camelot. Sorry. I think I said Smart Camelot. It's Super Camelot. And it is The Holy Grail Awaits. You control a member of King Arthur's court and compete against your friends in an adventure through the forests of Albion. The first player to find all 3 sacred relics and claim the Holy Grail itself, or to amass 40 gems, wins the game. Except look at the aesthetic, chat, because tell me that isn't 8-bit / Minecrafty type stuff. Right? Like it. You see what I'm saying? Get treasure, hack and slash, explore. Yeah, it's kind of like an old SNES, like the old Final Fantasy or something like that. So yes, it is very cool. And also when you get this game pack, you will also get a promo code. And this is a promo code which I'm actually going to be giving out to people, not today, but I'll do so probably at some point tomorrow if I get reminded, to give you 20% off your online order at Catalyst Games. So not only will you get this game pack, but you'll also get a 20% off code that you can use at Catalyst Game Labs to get any of their games online. So it's going to be Super Camelot, it's going to be Vikings, and a set of dice from a prominent Pacific Northwest located game company, which has a lot of reach and which may or may not involve magicians on a beach. And that's all I'm going to say. So anyway, you'll get the set of dice plus the game pack. That will go to the 3rd top donor. So I'm very excited about all of that, and it's going to be amazing. And yes, the winner of the Gray Stick drawing picks the theme. The leaderboard that we have right now is Hillness is in first at 501. Claire and Carlos are in second at 500. I haven't had a chance to add it all up, but my guess is that in third is probably Chaotix, because actually I'll tell you that right now. I can see this right now, looking at my dashboard. Looking at my donations, it looks to me, I don't think I can, oh wait, I can sort it? Oh yes, I can. Nope, other way around. Okay, yes, so now it is not combining them together, it's just doing single donations. So right now, the person who's in first is Hillness with 501, then Claire and Carlos with 500. In third right now is, I'm pretty sure, Chaotix, but let me confirm. 200. Yes, so Chaotix has contributed over $250, which means he's in third. So right now your top 3 are Hillness at 501, Claire and Carlos at 500, and Chaotix at over 250. That's your leaderboard right now. Again, thank you, Tiltify. So cool. So that's the deal with that. So the way that we are going to do this, if you've now confirmed, Valerie and Brandon are going to be playing the high school sports themed game Fight with Spirit. Are you kidding me? That is freaking awesome. I'm going to be with my family doing Memorial Day stuff, barbecuing and stuff like that, because I need to be there because I'm not going to be there all weekend. So I'm going to be doing that on Monday, but I am 100% going to be checking in on that as soon, whenever I can, and watching the VOD on that. That's going to be awesome. Hey, big boss. Good early morning. Good to see you. So yeah, that's going to be happening. That's going to be awesome. So, again, so you mentioned fun. No, I know you arrive, boss, and the fun arrives. I mean, I don't think there's any question that that's the case. If you are not a sub, I would like you to do this when you're brought over for our raid. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, I'd like you to do this. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid. You got Arvany Hype, Arvany Woe, Arvany Witch, Arvany Woe, Arvany, I think I said that, Arvany Roar, Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, Arvany Blown, all the Arvanys when you are brought over automagically to the place that we are going to raid. And as I said, I am not going to go through all my stuff for the channel now because I want to focus this weekend on Damon Runyon. I am only going to say that you should donate, ! Donate to Damon Runyon. That will bring you to our Tiltify page. And there's no reason you can't donate even when we're off. It's going to still keep track of your donations. We'll see how much that you're doing. And if if we can start tomorrow with a couple extra $100 in there before we get started at noon, that would be so much the better. So you would definitely want to check that out as we go through. But I can say now that we end day 2 of ArvCon having raised over $1,000, having raised over $1,000 today, which is a great start. Again, we're well on our way, and hopefully tomorrow with a big long day, and then the big long day to follow it, and then the closing lap, as it were, on Monday is going to be a big thing. So I'm super excited about that. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream today. Thank you, as always, to Kilgore Trout again for the raid, and thank you to the GOG folks who stayed here. Thank you to my wonderful mods who are doing so much incredible work. You can't even believe it. Thank you to Arudnell. Thank you to Drew. Thank you to Emily. Thank you to Prince Justin, Shadowed Mage, Triffity Metz, The Rising Tide. Special thanks to Shadowed Mage for the overlay work. Special thanks to Emily, the Invincible, for all the tweeting and social media promotion that she was doing all day today and yesterday. Thank you, Emily. And, of course, for doing Greystick. And thank you so much to Triffity Metz, who has been working tirelessly in the background, also along with Dragonspear as well, doing a lot of stuff with the spreadsheet and like rejiggering prizes and connecting things and all that stuff. So thank you so much, Triffid, for all of that. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers. Thank you to Arudnell, Dragon, Drew, Emily, Prince Justin, Shadow Mage, Triffid, Echo, Nonstop, Big Boss, Brahms, Crit Twitch, Lotwook, Mrs. Dunsel, and Video Store Cowboy. Thank you to my wonderful viewers. Thank you to Chat, to Dark Steel Spork, Dark Sinner, Deathblow. Thank you to Defective Automaton. Thank you to Derva, to Don Loke. Thank you to Eagle. Thank you to Ellen Ray, the gamer. Thank you to Gan Eden. Well, hey, Jen. Thank you to Gan Eden. Thank you to Gareth. Thank you to GogCom, which, of course, big fan to GogCom. Done a little work with them. Also sponsoring, by the way, this thing. Thank you to Elizabeth. Thank you to Indy. Can't wait to hear Indy's concert coming soon. Thank you to Jactress. Thank you to King of Hades, Garg. Wow, that's a lot. King of Hades. Thank you, King of Hades. Thank you to Conser. Thank you to Kroger Assassin. Thank you to Mantoy. Thank you to Dragon Spear Cheering. Hey, Dragon, thank you. And those 500 bits are actually going to go tonight to the lovely people. So I'm going to add that in to... Thank you for the 500 bits. I appreciate that very much, Dragon Spear. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm gonna get to him. Don't worry about that, Echo. Thank you to Mr. Peril. Thank you to Nenad. Thank you to Osmus. Thank you to Paula Rigi. Thank you to Sam. Thank you to Steven, to Varney, to Wabin, to Wenchkin. Thank you to Wolf, to Zero Vero, and Shrek. Thank you so much, and special thanks today, for reasons that they know. Thank you so much to my wonderful players tonight. Thank you to Johnny Pittman. Thank you to the amazing Toy Kristen Finley. And thank you to the amazing and awesome this guy. Thank you to Zach Clay, who's a good friend and a good guy. Thank you, everybody, for being awesome. And I'm going to catch you folks here tomorrow, noon Eastern, for the interview with the scientists, and then tabletop concert, lots of tabletop going on tomorrow. Let's keep it up. Keep donating, all in the name of Damon Runyon. And I will see you folks back here very soon. Until then, everybody, please be good to each other. And